Hey, 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 this is Wacky Wednesday with Chaos. I am Jeremy, and I am the Chaos. Today we have a special guest. We have footage of a new segment called Rusty's Diamonds, and we're going to have all that coming up right after this. A 115 team takes a running back. You just took your franchise quarterback. You had a running back. And I'd be pissed if I was a Jacksonville fan. I love that, talking about GreenBean. He'll never find out. Believe me, nobody knows better what it looks like when an organization is about to go to shit than a New York Jet fan. And Justin Fields proved that he can hold it together. He can regroup. It's okay if he struggles. And we got a big game against the Eagles, and maybe you need some energy, so wake up! We have every right to expect the Jets to win. Rich Samini, schmuck, putz. All right, everybody. Brian, good to see you here. You're always one of the first ones in. Howdy. Good to see you. So, what do we got on the agenda today? Who's the guest? Well, if you read the description, you might know. And you might know him if you watch GreenBean Show, and most of you do. He is the stat man, the man with all the information, our scout, the man who lets us know who we're playing, what to look out for, what they do well, what they don't do well, what we should try to do to win. If you don't already know, I'll tell you. It's Adam, Wat2K99. Welcome, Adam.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for having me tonight. How we doing?
Oh, pleasure. We are doing well. Another long day at work, but Wednesday is that hump day, man. After you get through Wednesday, I kind of feel like I could see the finish line. So always.
I hear you. Yeah, I've got Friday off, but I got to work a couple of Saturdays in a row. So I actually don't even mind a 4-day week. I like that little break in the middle. Gives you a chance to recharge, reset, and I don't mind working on a Saturday. It's usually a little bit slower in the school system, as you might know.
Yeah. I've had to go in on Saturdays. Unfortunately, they don't give me another day off in exchange. But
that's the catch.
When we rent out our campus as an admin, I have to be on the campus. But what are you going to do? Anyway, Bismo is here. It is Thursday where he is in New Zealand. How you doing, Bismo? We got Tom Bon Jovi. He comes in on a steel horse. He's wanted, dead or alive. I don't do it as good as Frankie.
It's his life.
We got the mess, Jets mess in the house. Always good to see you. And of course, our young friend, J. Cole, who has already invited me to his wedding. So he's not engaged. He doesn't have the girl yet. But one day when he meets that girl and they get married, I'm going to the wedding. And it's a Long Island, New York wedding. So I know there's going to be lots of good food. And I got married in Long Island, in Massapequa. And let me tell you something. It's like, typical New York wedding. You just get fed more food than you ever dreamed of in your life.
That would pretty much get me to go to a wedding. I don't care who the people are, but as long as the food is up to par, yeah, I'll show up. Why not?
It's like, the cocktail hour, the hors d'oeuvres, open bar. I love it.
First wedding I ever went to, I'll actually tell you, it was a dry bar wedding. There was no alcohol served.
Oh.
I don't know how I got through it. To this day, I don't know how I got through that wedding. It's like, especially with the people that it was one of those situations. It was the girl I was dating at the time, and her best friend was getting married. And I don't recommend you do this, but I was living in Chicago at the time, and there was a wrestling show I really wanted to go to that night. So I went to the ceremony, I went to the reception, had dinner, and then when the dancing started, I kind of said I had to go. I drove an hour for a wrestling pay-per-view in Chicago Ridge. So that's one of many reasons why we're not together anymore. So
I went when I started going to weddings in California, I realized, like, oh my God, like, what the hell's going on here? Like, there's no food. There's so little food. Like I grew up with big cocktail hour, buffet. You're filled before you even get to the sit-down dinner, which you barely touch. And then the dessert, tables come out, and you don't eat the wedding cake because you already had 10 pounds of dessert that was brought out in the buffet. And it was just amazing to me. In California, it's the opposite. They give you a little salad, give you maybe a tiny, fuzz and blah, whatever they call it, fuzz and blah, like a taste of something. And then they come out with your little meal, and then the bar is usually you pay. Like you go up and you have to buy your drinks at the bar. I'm like,
the salad fits in like one of those little tiny plastic cups about that big, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of those, right? Get to the bottom of it, right? Get to the bottom of the salad cup.
Exactly.
Come on, people.
We got Rusty Spooner, who is the inspiration and a big part of that segment, Rusty's Diamonds. So Rusty Spooner has built a reputation for finding diamonds in the rough, like players that that are long down on the board, that we should be looking at. And I didn't realize he even does that, because I do that sometimes. I look at names and I look people up randomly. And one day there was a mock going on, and I said, take Jeff Gunter. He's a beast. And I think it was during GreenBean, like he was doing a mock and I was on with him co-hosting, and Spooner lights up and goes, "You know that, Jeremy? He's a beast." And because we both found them the same reason, I think, because I was watching so much Zach Wilson film that they play Coastal Carolina, and I was like, "Who's this guy that's crushing him every play?" There's always this one guy getting through to him. It's the first time you ever see Zach under pressure, because at BYU, no one could get through their offensive line, and it was this guy 94, Jeff Gunter. And if you watch his tape, he's freaking good. Yeah, so
he's one of those guys that could be under the radar, and it's one of those situations. Everybody's looking for that late gem pass rusher. They're not very easy to find, but if you could find one in the later rounds, like a Max Crosby, for instance, oh my gosh, have you hit a home run in the draft?
Yeah. And Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports, that's John Post, the Postman, is in the house, and we all know and love his channel. I hope people love his channel, because I'm on it all the time now. So, no, look, man, I can't wait to do fantasy next year. This is the first year in a long time I wasn't heavily involved for money, like in a pay fantasy thing. And now I have John and I have this channel that they're awesome. And they the spreadsheets, of the rankings of every position. I never had that as a tool before going in, and I can't wait to even the draft, to have extra opinions. I've never had people to talk to about it. I've always been on my own, to determine drafts. Now I'm gonna be on a show with guys that are gonna be leading up to the season talking about who to draft. So it's pretty awesome.
Okay. That sounds pretty crazy. I mean, my usual fantasy football thing is I just sign up for the random leagues and I get placed with 9 other strangers. And I just hope that I'm not only smarter than they are, but I just wind up actually being dedicated to it, because, you always have a couple of guys in that league who basically quit by week 6. And you just hope that you can hang on and by default, maybe make it into one of the playoff tournaments. So yeah, that crew, that sounds like a pretty dang competitive league.
Yeah, well, they do it for anybody who goes to the channel. They're just giving out advice to people who are in leagues. Okay. But I was in. It's fun to be in a friends league. I was one at work in the city, when I was in New York, and we a lot of trash talking. You go to work every day, and on Monday, if your team lost, you're going to get crap for it in the teachers' lounge, and that kind of thing. I wish I would have had John back then, but I'm going to go in next year. I'm going to kick some butt. So. So Mess is asking if I have any wafers left over, because on Sunday's watch party, I had this giant bucket of the wafer cookies that you get in an Asian supermarket. They're like sticks, but they're wrapped up filled with cream, kind of cookie wafer thing.
I think I know the one you're talking about. Okay.
So I had a bucket of them, and there must have been 1,000 in there, and I still have half left, Mess. And I was just the whole Super Bowl, after eating Burger King, was just eating these wafers. And Mess was just ripping me apart, going, sure. And then I was getting sleepy, and he goes, nappy nap after all the food. It was hysterical.
So no wafers left over? Is that the point?
I have half a tub left over.
Half a tub? Oh, boy.
Well, the consumption of my food goes down when I'm back at work during the week. It's the weekends that I'm like a lunatic that I don't stop eating. So
okay, I see how it goes.
Yeah. So Cole wants to do a $200 league. I'm thinking it's more like 50 or 100, buddy. Just so we don't scare everybody away. But anyway,
that's J. Cole's idea, is to scare everybody away.
Maybe. But you got to me, a 10-person league is perfect. 12 is a little thin, 8 is a little too rich. Everybody has too good of a team. 10 is a good balance that kind of gets you fighting for those, the backup running back positions or the wide, the wide receiver, like tight ends, running
But
back options.
it's really a lot of it is about the roster construction. I was in one league one year. Now I don't know if you've played in this type of a league, but I was in a league once where you had to pick two quarterbacks, like start two quarterbacks every week. And to be honest with you, like one of these drafts, I didn't even know that was the league. So I'm like, why is Andy Dalton being picked in the second round?
Oh my God.
And yeah, that was it. That was a very crazy league where you had multiple quarterbacks being involved, where it's not all about wide receiver, running back, and tight end. You also had to put a premium value on the quarterback, and now you really don't know which way to go.
Yeah, no, that's like you got to know the rules and everything. Because starting two quarterbacks, my God. I always made the mistakes of going too soon on quarterback, like buying in on the guy from the year before. And it's like there's only a few quarterbacks that are consistent every year. And like people automatically assume everyone's going to be great every year. And I got sucked into the Cam Newton trap after he had a great year and he was just awful the next year. And a lot of people got stuck in Lamar Jackson this year. People got crushed with him. He was awful for fantasy. He was just horrible. And Jalen Hurts, who would have known, was a much better guy to have than Lamar Jackson, points wise.
That's hard to believe because Hurts had some games that were really good, but boy, did he have some games where he just could not play.
Yeah, but he would even in those games he managed to
run. Yeah,
he managed to salvage them with the running. Because
it was about the running. So he was basically a better version of Lamar Jackson for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, but I mean, in real life, I wouldn't take him over Lamar.
No, but who would?
Yeah. So, darn you, Boba Fett. Oh, you know what? I gotta watch that. I'm really excited about the Boba Fett. I don't know if you watched The Mandalorian.
No, I haven't.
On the Disney Channel, it's like what all the reboots of Star Wars, like the new movies, should have been. Like it's the real quality. Like it's like the best thing since Return of the Jedi is like these shows on Disney. Like The Mandalorian is amazing, and this everybody's excited. There's a show Boba Fett, so it's supposedly going to be. We're all expecting it to be really good. And it's the guy who did Iron Man. That actor guy, director dude. That did all the Iron Man movies. Like, so that's why it's good because it's him doing it. So anyway, let's go to let's get to business. Let's talk Jets. Just in case people don't know, because you usually come on to the Point of GreenBean show and we don't get to hear, maybe a little in the chat, but we don't get to hear your opinions as much on things and the questions. So I think the standard question to ask is just, did you become a Jets fan living in Virginia? Did you live in New York and move to Virginia? Like, what's your story? How did you find the Jets?
So for me, I grew up in the early 80s in central New Jersey, in Edison, about 30, 40 minutes south of the Meadowlands. Now, my family, especially my parents, were not what I would call football fans. My dad is a Cowboys fan, but a very casual Cowboys fan, in that I've never seen him wear a Cowboys logo in my entire life. But he will support them. He grew up in Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s, so the Cowboys were always on at 4 o'clock. And in the 70s, the Giants and Jets were both anemic. So he was a Cowboy fan. I grew up kind of liking both football teams in New York because, in the 80s, the Giants were a very fashionable team. But my next-door neighbor was a Jets fan named Tom, sick Jets fan. And I believe it was 1990. I was 9. He took me and a couple of other people to a game. I remember Jets against the Colts. I remember the Jets lost by 1 point that game, but that was my first in-person game. And I think ever since then, I just kind of attached myself to the Jets. I really grew up a big New York Mets fan, and there was the connection of Mets Jets. My dad, it's funny, my dad, I still can't figure him out half the time. Like his 3 teams in sports are the Atlanta Braves, the Dallas Cowboys, and the New York Rangers. If you could figure it out, you're smarter than I am. So, but he would not go to Yankee Stadium. Like he did not want to take the train to the Bronx. So we would go to Shea Stadium, and that's how I became a Mets fan. And the Mets slowly morphed into the Jets as well. So, but in terms of when I would say I was probably all in Jets by the early 90s. So when I was 10 years old, I didn't move to Virginia until 2017, until very recent years.
Okay.
Yeah, but 20 years in Chicago, that tested my faith right there, being in the middle of Bears and Packers. I'm right on that middle line of Packers, Bears. I was right in the middle of it. So, and here I am, this little Jets outcast. It was, oh my goodness.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I grew up a Mets fan too. 10 years before you, like everything. Like, I guess I'm about 10 years older than you. So, but yeah, I grew up going to Shea to Met games, and it was only natural to get attached to the Jets. That it was right before I became a fan, and for like the first 4 or 5 years, I guess, that I was a fan, it was in Shea. And then that's when they moved to the Meadowlands right in the beginning of my Jets life, But I do remember the few years at Shea, and I remember the big discussion when I was in middle school. I think I was in 7th grade when they moved to New Jersey. And I remember, even though I hadn't been to a game yet, being really disappointed. Like, I felt like a loss with them going to New Jersey. It took some while to get used to it. Because part of one of the things I liked about them was that they played at Shea. They played in my favorite team's stadium, the Mets. But anyway, Gitmo Bob is here. It's good to see you, man. My wife is supporting the show. She's chiming in on Star Wars. I drive her crazy with my Star Wars stuff, but she loves The Mandalorian. She says she loved it. She couldn't wait for it to come on. And then there's some Jeremy love going on in here. See? My wife's going to realize what a lucky woman she is, right? So that's cool, man. That's cool. And then you started the Virginia fan club. Did you just have that idea? You wanted to find other Jet fans to watch the games with?
So here's the story behind the whole fan club situation. Living where I was in the western suburbs of Chicago, and I went to college in Boston. Let us not overlook that important detail. Having to live in Patriots territory for a couple of years right at the beginning of the dynasty. Oof, boy. So went back to Chicago. I had initially moved there midway through high school. And I had a sports bar I would always go to, Rookies, in St. Charles. Fantastic place. But I was always the only Jets fan in the building. And there was a Chicago Jets fan group that I heard about that met on Clark Street, only about a block or two away from Wrigley Field. And great group, but best case scenario, it's an hour drive. You're driving in the wintertime. There's traffic. And during baseball season, you ain't getting a parking spot for less than $25. Yeah, unless I wanted to park, take the train, and then the commute would take like 2 hours. Factor in the train. So I would go there to Chicago downtown maybe twice a year. I remember I was with that group for a couple of big moments, including the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh, and then the Week 17 heartbreaker against Buffalo. But then there was the rally against Houston, the last minute Sanchez rally to Braylon and Santonio. So had a lot of good memories at what is now the Country Club, they call it. So 2017, in the summertime, I moved out to Newport News, Virginia, home of Allen Iverson and Michael Irvin, probably two of the best known people, two of the best known athletes. Yeah, I know. But yep, they both came from here. And I just looked up Jets groups. I wanted to find other Jets fans to watch games with. I knew that this was a very heavy military area. Wow. In the Hampton Roads section of Virginia, which is like 7 cities, there's about 11 military bases. So the point is, people come here from all over the country. It's not like this is the way it is. It's not like, Pittsburgh. Like, who goes to Pittsburgh? It's like, you're from Pittsburgh, you're born, you live, it's that type of a city. Or Green Bay, the same thing. Virginia is not like that. So I looked it up and I found a group, the Virginia Jets fans. They'd actually been around since 1990. They've been around for a very long time. A guy named Sterling started it. He's pretty much a classic hippie, fantastic guy. He became a Jets fan because of Joe Namath. And but he was on the verge of kind of slowing down a little bit, and he wound up moving to Florida. And they, after one other guy didn't quite work out, he didn't quite work out with this one other guy, they handed me the reins. That was in October of 2019, and I've been the club president ever since.
Wow. And how many members are there?
What?
How many members are there?
You know what? Our Facebook group is about 600 people.
Okay.
But I would say with a typical game, we're getting, and this is when the team is bad, we're getting a good 30 to 40 people, I would say, per game. And yeah, even opening day against Buffalo, that was the opening game against Buffalo. I think that, that was the one where it was Allen against Arnold. CJ Mosley had the great, quarter and a half. And
We
then
were up 17-0.
right. Yes. And Kari Vedvik he made Alex Kessman almost look competent. It was so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we had about 80, 85 people packed in for that day. That was about as big of a game as I've seen. And it was opening day. So it's like, ever since I've been there, the team's been horrible. So I'm looking forward to watching a game with them that actually matters, where, the playoffs are on the line.
Yeah, it could really build up because you'll have more people like having to see the game and wanting to see it with other people. Definitely. I think it's going to be the same thing maybe with just these YouTube channels, right? If it's like you see GreenBean and you see Matt O'Leary and Ryan and Joe Blewett, these guys are getting, lots of subscribers and blowing up, and this, newer people like me and Frankie, but like, it's interesting just because this is when they're losing. Like, what's going to happen? Like, are we all going to get a boost when they start winning? Like, are more people going to search and want to get Jets content and everything? It's just interesting to think about.
Yeah, one thing is very true. Right now, you will not meet a bandwagon Jets fan. There's no such thing.
Yeah, exactly. We know who all the real ones are now, like online and stuff, in Twitter. Like, we're gonna know who is here and who's just trying to jump on our ship. Assuming we turn it around, which I think we have to
say the least. Let's get Mo Bob saying here.
I took a bus down from Great Lakes to both ballparks. Both are horrible, and the Sox thankfully destroyed their old park.
Now it's guaranteed rate field with the downward arrow. It's so embarrassing. It's like you have a downward arrow as part of your stadium logo.
Oh my God.
And that is just brutal.
I felt the nostalgia in Wrigley a little bit. But nothing like Fenway. No. Like Fenway Park gave me chills, like walking in Fenway Park.
So when did you go to Fenway? Like how long? What year did you go to Fenway?
I think it was about 2003.
So that would have been around the same time as me when I was graduating college. So that was before they had the seats above the Green Monster and all of that. Back then, you could sit in the bleachers for like $20.
They did have the thing, the add-on thing where you could walk outside and feel like you were outside, and there were some vendors outside, but you didn't leave the stadium to be there. But it was actually on a block on the side of the stadium. Like, I remember going there. The guy took me there. It was a client who took me. So
okay,
that was when I was.
I got to tell you, with Wrigley, the area outside Wrigley is fantastic. But for me, once you're inside Wrigley Field, it's all over. It's the thing to do. It's like the place to go to say you've been there. But in terms of an in-game experience, a lot of the charm's been taken out because now they've added advertisements. They've added a video board. They've added all this other kind of stuff. And to me, it's like, if you're sitting in the wrong seat, you have those poles to obstruct your view, just like you have at Fenway. It's like it's almost better to be in the bleachers just so your view doesn't get obstructed. So to me, that really dissipates the overall fan viewing experience.
Yeah, when was I at the Cubs game? That was also that was more 99, 1999-ish. I was at
too many. Yeah, that was my first time. Was July 31st, 1999, my 18th birthday. I
can nail it down to the exact year. It was actually 98. Probably it was the year Sosa hit 66 and Bonds hit 71.
Yep, that was it. I still have nightmares from that game. I remember Octavio Dotel was the starting pitcher for the Mets that game. Yes, we're talking baseball. We'll get there. Hang on. But Dotel gives up 7 runs in the first inning, including a grand slam to Gary Gaetti, and it's a wonder I did not get thrown out of that park. And then the Mets rally, they make it 10-10. So of course they had to give me a tease, and the Cubs wound up winning 17-10. It was just the biggest tease. And I was like, man, it was so brutal that game. But the Mets were horrible when I was going to Wrigley. I think there were 5 and like 22 in the games that I went to in the 20 years I was there. But I was there for Game 4 when they swept them in the 2015 NLCS. And it was like, I got my payback. I saw the Mets win the pennant in person.
That's pretty
sweet. Special.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. For sure. So J. Cole is going to come on with me Friday. I promised him I'd let him come on and do a mock draft. So he says he might wear a suit. That will be fun. I hope you do. It's good for ratings, man. Okay. So Bob,
$3K99. Oh, apparently I've gone up one. I know it's a confusing name. I know.
I was in the Navy. Hated the Hampton Roads Tunnel with a passion.
It's brutal. It's brutal. They're working on expanding it now, and at this rate, they're expecting it in maybe 4 to 5 years. It will be expanded. But yeah, that thing will. A drive that should take about 30 minutes from where I am to downtown Norfolk sometimes will take an hour and a half. The tunnels out here can be an absolute disaster. No doubt about it.
So my wife says that we may have bought hot dogs from the same vendor.
We could have. Yeah, we could. They did have some good hot dogs. Now they got bison hot dogs because the Cubs owners got the big bison farm out in the way west somewhere. So yeah, they really try to push the bison in Wrigley Field now. So
sorry, I gave you a promotion. It's funny because actually it was a White Sox game. So I used to travel to Chicago a lot. I was working in California, and I had a lot of partners. I managed the relationships, and these group of guys love sports, so they did business with a lot of like cool companies. And they would always combine the trip. They'd say, "Okay, Jeremy," because we became good friends. They were like, "Okay, we have a guy at Kettle One because we do consulting for Kettle One." So I go out there and they go, "We're going to the White Sox game," and the Kettle One guy's in charge of it, and he sells Kettle One to the luxury club in Kaminsky Park or whatever, like inside. So it's a cold game. It's in the beginning of the year in the spring, and it's really cold out, and all of a sudden he brings us in. So we're in this luxury box kind of thing where there's like a fancy bar and there's a buffet of free food. And he's like, he tells us, he goes, "It's open bar for you guys for free on me." Because this is his job, right? To get people drinking Kettle One. And he's like, "But if you order," he literally said this, he goes, "If you order a Grey Goose at anything, I'll throw you out through the window on your ass," because he was a big guy. And, drinking cranberry and Kettle One, getting drunk, and it was a crazy time, and it was a great experience. And I got to do a lot of experiences like that, in business, and people want to impress you, and you go to Microsoft shows, and my company would spend money on booths, so they wanted us to come back, so they would just kiss our butt and do all these amazing things. But that was one of the really cool things, hanging out with these guys in Chicago, because they would take me to all the bars around, like when we went to a Cubs game and saw that year that Sosa hit the 66, they took me to the bars in Wrigleyville and like all the hot spots to go to before and after the game, and just amazing. Great time.
Yeah, it's one of the best times that you'll never remember is in Wrigleyville during a Chicago Cubs game, no doubt.
So all right, that's cool. I was I almost forgot. So I wanted to shift over, getting back to football.
Yeah, let's do that.
And ask you about the news. I mean, we didn't plan this, so everybody knows this is like, we have to adjust the show on what we're going to talk about, because this is, I think, pretty big news. I think this could, depending on if there's evidence, like people are talking about, like this could become like the Black Sox scandal. I mean, this could be very, very big if there's evidence, or they do investigations and find out that there are really owners fixing games, or not fixing games, but like literally paying the coaches to lose. So Brian Flores made these accusations, aside from the lawsuit, which is really about racism and head coaches. He also threw in there that he was being offered a $100,000 bonus for every game he lost in 2019. Not because I don't think the owner was interested in a gambling fraud type of thing, but because he wanted, basically to bust for the draft.
Right.
But it affects gambling. I mean, and the NFL knows this. They might not talk about it, but the reality is that part of the money in the NFL and part of its enormity is gambling. It's a multi-billion-dollar thing, right? And a lot of people were impacted. So to find out, I bet on this team to win the Super Bowl, or I bet, took a long shot and they were losing on purpose. And there's going to be a lot of like blowback, I think, from this. And I just want to know your reaction from it.
This sounds like something right out of the Major League movie. It was that crazy where the owner wanted at the time the Cleveland Indians to lose and lose so she could move the team, ironically, to Miami. And to me, I can't think of anything that an owner could do that is more counterproductive and more like wrong than that. And we've learned a few layers about what's going on. I mean, when Brian Flores was let go, I think all of us were shocked, and we figured there's got to be something up here. There have to be layers to the story, and those layers are slowly being peeled back, one layer at a time. I have to give Brian Flores a lot of credit for putting himself on the line like this, and he may very well be blackballed from coaching in the NFL for the rest of his life, but he clearly sees a problem. I can't say if this is a problem or if it is not a problem. That is not for us to say. But to me, whoever the best candidates are the ones that should be hired, regardless of the color of their skin or anything else about them. I think that I'd like to think that's something that we can all pretty much agree on. But Stephen Ross he's crazy. I mean, there was also, I think, the story of him getting Brady on his yacht or something like that when Brady was like under contract. Like Brian Flores walks in, I think, on the yacht and gets out of there because he figured he could be liable for tampering. I think that was another situation that recently popped up. So to me, Stephen Ross is like a ticking time bomb. I mean, who knows what he's going to do next? I think Brian Flores could wind up being, if you know who Curt Flood is, he might wind up being like the Curt Flood of football, where Curt Flood refused to be traded from St. Louis to Philadelphia. He refused to report. He took the case all the way to the Supreme Court. He was rejected, and he never got to play baseball again. But that helped set the stage for free agency a few years later and some other changes that happened to that particular sport. So Flores might wind up being a martyr. And I think if he sees the changes that he ultimately wants to solve the problems that he sees that exist, then I don't think he's going to regret this decision.
Yeah, that's interesting. And apparently he still had his interview with New Orleans, and they knew about the lawsuit, and they said very good things about the interview. So there's still a chance. I think for the NFL, they're probably hoping New Orleans hires him, because to me it looks worse. Like if they don't hire him, it looks worse on them. If they do hire him, then because everybody's saying, "Oh, you just ended your career." It would be nice if the NFL said, "No, we're going to listen, like we're going to allow him to have his case, and then still be professional about whether he's the best man for this job." I mean, I don't know. Maybe people think that's crazy, but I don't think New Orleans should be pressured to do it. I'm just saying I know that if I owned an organization, and I like even the Giants, I can't believe they didn't take him seriously as a candidate. Because when he was fired, I thought every team was going to be fighting for him, honestly. I think, because to me, when you asked me before last year, or when I was watching the 2020 season, what's the best thing Miami has? Like, what's their best asset? My answer would have been Brian Flores. It wouldn't have been a player. Right. To me, he was what I was afraid of. Like, oh shit, we got this guy coaching in the division, because I thought he was that good. When Miami started winning all those games in 2020, I said, this guy, look how fast he turned them around from the Adam Gase era. I go, this guy's for real. So anyway, so I'm shocked. I thought Dallas would go for him. I honestly thought the Cowboys would go for him. I don't know why teams aren't jumping on him. Like I would love to have him. I mean, I love our guy now, but if we had just fired Gase now, I'd be all over.
Oh, completely. Yeah, completely. Yeah. I mean, he's really proving himself to be a leader, but how are his communication skills? I mean, I'm curious, really, his players seem to play for him quite well, but is this the kind of coach who could wear out his welcome over time, I wonder? Because, I mean, these issues that he has, clearly they're with management. They clearly exist. So are we to believe that these types of issues only exist with his superiors, but not his players or other staff members? I'm curious what his players are thinking. Are they in favor of this? Or are they disappointed in this? That's what I'm wondering about.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I mean, because people are usually very quiet about that, but things do come out eventually. So,
Oh, they will. They
just a
will.
quick question from Mess: do we add cap space from Cam retiring? My understanding is Cam was not a high round pick. He was in year number 3. I don't think there's a lot of money tied into him. What do you think? A few $100,000, but nothing real, right?
Yeah, his average salary. So with his contract, he had a 4-year contract, and his average annual salary is a shade under $1 million a year. And his guarantee is what, 690,000 or so.
Okay.
So even if he gets the guarantee, I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about less than $1 million. It's minimal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And it
what I
really
think.
is a shame. I got to say, it's really a shame about Cam Clark. I actually got to watch him play in person before I really knew who he was, because I went to a Charlotte Old Dominion University game, and the Charlotte offense just could not be stopped. I think they scored about 50 points that day. And Clark at the time was their left tackle, and their run game was dominant. So when I heard that the Jets got an offensive lineman from Charlotte, it definitely piqued my interest, and I really supported him. But as soon as you hear spinal cord, you know we talk. People get worried about the Achilles with Carl Lawson, and with other people, all these Achilles injuries. Well, an Achilles is one thing, but I don't think there's any part of my body, if I'm a football player, I would want injured less than my spinal cord.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's you can't predict an injury like this. Cam Clark did not have a history of injuries in his college days. It's just one of those picks. You say it happened. It was worth a try. It sucks, but you can't blame the general manager. You just blame rotten luck and you move on. There's really
Yeah.
nothing else you can do about it.
It's the same thing with Carl Lawson, right? Like nobody's yelling at JD for Carl Lawson. I mean, shit happens. I mean, there's nothing you could do about it. It's bad luck. It's just, but like, I don't even entertain it as a conversation anymore. I can't argue with people over stupidity. Like when they say something like, "Oh, JD made a bad pick. It's another bad pick." It's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. How is it? I mean, it's nothing to do with anything. Guy got hurt. Sucks. And that's what it is. What it is. It's like it's just. It's just noise to me.
I mean, pretty much every defensive free agent. I mean, Jared Davis, yes, he was terrible, but he was hurt. He was hurt. LaMarcus Joyner barely played. Vinny Curry didn't play. Ronald Blair missed a whole lot of time. I mean, we have not even come close to seeing this defense in full. And like one exception was Sheldon Rankins, and I'm sorry, but I don't want to see him in a Jets uniform again. I mean, the guy could not play the run to save his life. I
No.
think I would rather have Jonathan Marshall have more of a role than I would Sheldon Rankins. At least it would cost like $8 million less a year. So
Yeah, I think we need to move on from Rankins and Jared Davis and just, like we take shots with people and you hit and you miss, to me, Quincy Williams was a hit. I mean, he might not be a starting linebacker, but but there's no argument that he's a depth linebacker. Like it's good to have Quincy on the team. Like he's not completely consistent. He's hot and cold, but he's not a horrible answer if somebody goes down and you have to bring in Quincy Williams. I mean, he'll even make some big plays for you. So, and we don't know. He's young, so they might coach him up because they didn't have a lot of time to coach him up, right? So now they're going to have a whole off season to coach him up.
right, because he was acquired during the course of the season.
Yeah.
So with the whole off season to really get this defense down. Put it this: what I love is motor, and that's not really something that you can teach, but you can teach technique. I don't want to count on him as a starting linebacker. I want to count him as the first depth linebacker off the bench.
Absolutely.
If they can do that, then I'll be pretty excited.
Yep, absolutely. I feel the same way. It's like kind of how I feel like if we were to draft a cornerback, if they surprised us and went early with like a potential shutdown cornerback, the immediate thing I would think is it doesn't mean they don't like Eccles. It means that they see Eccles as the first guy off the bench. Nickel dime packages, like things like that. You'll still see him in, but maybe like that's the question to me. Do they see Eccles as CB2 or they see him as great guy to have on the team, depth in the position, but they're still going to be pursuing that shutdown corner? Like, I don't know yet because they're so tight-lipped about it,
That's one thing we've learned. The Jets have a way of surprising us, especially under Joe Douglas. Like they will sign a free agent. We never saw it coming. He'll make a trade. We barely saw that coming. So But I do think their priority, from every indication we've seen, is the trenches are the priority.
Yeah.
Joe Douglas was an offensive lineman. I really think I don't know if the Clark news really changes my mind here, but I'm actually curious about your opinion on what Robert Saleh said, that Mekhi Becton and George Fant will be competing for the starting left tackle job. Now, do you think that he was really serious about that, or do you think he was trying to light a fire under Becton's ass?
I think both. I think he wants to light a fire under his ass, and I think he wants him to know I'm not playing games. Like he's telling him ahead of time. He's like, for the offseason, don't come back 30 pounds overweight and make it hard for yourself and think you have the entire training camp to get fit. Like maybe he's sending that message. You better come ready to play because, if you come in and you're not ready and you're not looking good, you're not being handed this job. So do I think he's in danger? I think Becton's only in danger if he puts himself in danger. If he makes the right choices and he stays fit and he works out and he comes in diesel buff, ready to go, he's a special talent. He's not going to lose the job to George Fant.
Yep. And hey, he's going to be a father in a couple of months soon. So if that's not motivation, what else is going to be? I do think, I'll tell you one thing that I am thinking now. One free agent I've been very back and forth on is Morgan Moses. I was very happy when the Jets signed him. Living where I do, I'm kind of in, Washington Commanders territory, which still feels so weird to say, but we'll try to get used to it. But Moses was definitely a leader of that offensive line. I was very excited to get him. My feeling on Morgan Moses is this: very good run blocker, good leader, but I'm sorry, he got beat in pass protection way too many times for my liking. But the fact that Coach Saleh is saying that Becton and Fant are competing for left tackle, I'm wondering if that is leaning to an indication that Morgan Moses is going to be re-signed. So what's your thought on that?
I mean, to me, I think depending on how, like if it's a tight competition, I think that the loser of the competition goes to right tackle. I think if Becton comes overweight, sluggish, doesn't work hard in practice, like if there are issues that we don't know about, if he's not doing what they want him to do in those regards, I think they're willing to put him on the bench to make a point, and that maybe they will sign Moses or something and have a plan of this is what it's going to be. So I think there's two scenarios. They re-sign Morgan Moses with the intention that he's there in case, because they're not worried that Fant's going to slack. They know what they have in Fant. But with Becton, we all have reason to think there could be a question mark. We don't know for sure, but we think that they might have a question mark on him. So if he comes back and loses the competition because he just is a problem, then I think you're sitting. I think if he comes back and he looks great and Fant looks great and they both look great and he just gets edged out even though he looks great, then maybe, then the loser goes to right tackle if they're better than Moses. But if one of them, but especially Becton, if he looks like crap or he doesn't look ready for camp, they're going to make a point, and then that's why they'll be happy they have Moses ready. And then the second part of that is if they both look great, Becton wins the job, Fant moves over to right tackle. We got a great depth guy, right? We got a great guy to come in if somebody goes down. We got a perfectly capable starter.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, remembering the first game where George Fant slid in at right tackle, didn't go so well for the offensive line. Now, we'll give him a little bit of a pass. It was week one. That was, I would say, probably the worst game that the offensive line played that year. And, obviously Greg Van Roten was next to him. McGovern really didn't come on till later in the season. It was probably AVT's worst game too. So, yeah, I'm not going to put too much stock in George Fant having a disappointing game at right tackle. So, but that is something that is interesting. Like, how easy is it to convert from left tackle to right tackle and vice versa? What makes a good left tackle versus right tackle? I don't know if there's a way you could really quantify that, but it is. If the coaching staff thinks that Becton can be a better, if the line will be better with Fant at left, Becton at right, who cares? Great. I'm all about having the best offensive line. I don't care if they got to put Becton at center to make it happen. Do it.
Mm-hmm. So these guys are still we're behind, so they're talking about the stuff we were talking about before. Becton is the new Cam Clark. Yeah, but that's different.
Yeah, Becton got on the field.
Injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I don't necessarily agree. I think it's two very different situations because Cam, very different situations. We don't know that Becton's done yet, right? Becton might come back and be a Pro Bowl offensive line tackle for the next 5 or 6 years. We don't know.
I'm pretty confident Mekhi Becton will play at least one more snap in the NFL. Is that jinxing? Is that going a little bit too far?
I'm knocking on wood, but I don't think it's going too far. I think it's a reasonable thing to say.
Okay, good.
Someone's going to take a chance on him, if not us. Quinn was a horrendous first to run too. So they're talking about. So Salty, I didn't think you thought Quinn Williams was horrendous against the run. I think at times he was. There were games where I was like, you can't say anybody's playing well. Like they were running through us like we weren't there. Like we were totally like pathetic against the run. But I don't think he was bad every game, but that's concerning too, right? Inconsistency.
It definitely is. I mean, I think a lot about Foley also, and will he stay? And I wonder if he's a better fit for the 3-4 because I thought he started the season well, but maybe wasn't quite as good later on. This is the make or break year for Quinn Williams because we have seen him play very well and we've seen him disappear. But one thing we have to keep in mind is Robert Saleh is going to keep rotating the defensive line. I think for a while, I haven't checked the exact snap count, but Quinnen, I think, played in about 60 to 70% of the team's snaps. And hey, John Franklin Myers, don't forget, he makes the most impact when he plays inside. I can't emphasize that enough. He needs to be on the inside. And once the injuries all started, that's when he was moved to defensive end where he was less effective. When he's in the middle, he can use his quickness and he makes more of an impact. So I think JFM going back inside, if they do that, is an automatic upgrade. So if you have Quinnen and JFM, then you have Lawson on the outside. And if we can draft a pass rusher or sign another defensive end, now you have a real front four. Yep. Now, besides that, now we're starting to lack on a little bit of depth because we're thinking, who else is there? I mean, Rankins is going to be gone. Foley, I don't know, is going to be back, but right now I'm not going to count on it. I like Bryce Huff as a rotational piece. Of course, they just signed the one defensive end from Dallas as well. But as much as we overlook defensive tackle, and I know some people are going to cringe when I say this, at some point the Jets have to get a run-stopping 4-3 defensive tackle. And I know we don't want to do that. All you have to do is look at the mock drafts that we've been doing. With GreenBean's mocks, we've done 6 so far, going back to December. We've taken a grand total of 0 defensive tackles. That's the same number of quarterbacks as we've taken in this draft. So, honestly, guys, as much as Joe Douglas prioritizes the trenches, don't be surprised when a defensive line might get drafted. Just watch out for that.
Whenever I trade down and have extra picks, in every mock draft I do, not the ones live all the time because I don't want people to be mad at me, but on my own. And Big Nick, who I had on a week ago, this guy Nick Shine, he's like one of the few people who support me in it. Is not a first rounder, obviously, not even a second rounder, but with one of the acquired picks at like 45 to 50 that we typically get when we trade down in the first round from one of these teams. I take that Devontae guy, Wyatt or something. There's some guy.
Devontae Wyatt, yeah.
Yeah. Like I've taken him in many drafts because I honestly believe that Rankins is not the answer. Foley, Fatukasi is not for this defensive scheme. He's not a good fit. I think that we could solve one of the problems. Like part of it is if we get one of the edges, if they slip or if we get an edge we feel really good about, definitely JFM goes back inside. There's no question. We put JFM back. He's much better player inside. And then with Quinn Williams for next year, we're good, but we need a third guy. We like to rotate, so we need at least one other really good guy. And we don't know if we're going to re-sign Williams because if he wants 18 to 20 million and doesn't play better than he did last year, goodbye.
Bye. Can't do
no
it.
freaking way. So, and some idiot team will pay him, right? So, and our luck, he'll develop. But, so to me, it's like makes sense. You got to get a young guy in there because this way, if the young guy looks really good and they feel really confident in him, then we don't have to worry about paying Quinn Williams if we lose him. And if we do, and if he's amazing and he has his breakout year, then and we give him the big contract, it doesn't matter. We still want the depth.
I mean, you really can't have enough in here. I mean, actually, one mock draft I did, I actually drafted Federian Mathis, and that was after I traded down like twice, who's basically the leader of the Alabama defensive line. And if we didn't have so many other needs, I would say this is a guy to watch, because he's got that leadership and he's got that motor that Douglas and Saleh are going to crave. But the problem is we're so bereft at other positions that it's probably going to be a priority kind of later on in the draft. I could see a situation where without a 6th or a 7th round pick, I could see that last 5th round pick being used towards defensive tackle or trade down, maybe grab one in 6th round and try to get the next Foley, basically. I could see him going that kind of direction. So,
yeah. I can see it. I hope people aren't surprised, but I think people have taken it too far. Yeah, we don't want to take a defensive tackle with our number 4, number 10 pick. Yes, I get it.
No.
But that doesn't mean we're never going to take a defensive tackle again. It's still an important position, especially in our scheme, because we're not in a 3-4 where you're just taking up the space. Right? It's a different level of thinking. You want someone who can penetrate. We're relying on 4 people to get to the quarterback. So you need some talented guys in there. They're not there just to fill that gap or that space.
Hutchinson, I really wonder what they think of Karlaftis if he was, because he will most likely get to number 4. I wonder how much they're going to prioritize him, assuming that they can't get Hutchinson or Thibodeau. Because, logic says that there's no way that that's going to happen. But keep in mind that picking ahead of us are 3 of the dumbest organizations in the NFL. Okay, Houston, Jacksonville, Detroit are not exactly known for being, Mensa scholars, the guys who run these organizations. So who knows? I mean, and Evan Neal could go. Somebody might want to make a big splash and draft Kyle Hamilton. Maybe somebody will trade up to draft a quarterback. All kinds of crazy things can happen, but who knows what these teams really are thinking. Yeah. But I think Karlaftis, if that is a guy that they believe in, that could really make an impact, then they should go for it. Yeah. I'm not saying I believe in him. I think it's a little bit early for me to say I want to look at this guy a little bit more, but getting to the quarterback has to be the number 1 priority on defense. As much as we need linebacker, as much as we need safety, this defense, like you said, is predicated on getting to the quarterback with 4 players. How many games did we watch where the only quarterback hit or sack the Jets had was a cornerback blitz? I could still remember Michael Carter doing a cornerback blitz, and that was the only sack the Jets had in the entire game. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of having to get cute and having to get creative to hit the quarterback. How about we just hit the quarterback because our defensive line is that much better than the other team's offensive line?
That would be nice, because that's what we need to do. I mean, that's what we've been waiting for. That's why I think you're right. There's a good chance JD is going to go trenches big time in that first round, because Zion Johnson's in the second round if we want that as a guard. So there's opportunity. We have 4 big picks. To me, if he goes, obviously we all expect edge. I think we all expect at least 1 offensive lineman. And then if he goes back to it in the 3rd and grabs Lindstrom or something for the future to be a future center or something like that, it wouldn't shock me. If he goes defensive tackle in the 3rd, wouldn't shock me. I think that it's enough is enough. We need to win in those areas. It's I know everybody said people give examples of one team that managed to do it. Cincinnati's offensive line's not doing well and they made it. But you can't look at one example. You got to look at what works over time with most teams and most great dynasties, right? I mean, great teams win in the trenches. The Pittsburgh Steelers win in the trenches. Over the years, Green Bay wins in the trenches over the years. The teams that have been great for years, these franchise great historical organizations that just win and win and win and have a tradition of winning. That's the common theme. They win in the trenches. And I think that it's very clear that JD understands that. He talks about it Robert Saleh buys into it. If you look at where he got his coaches from, the way Saleh did it on defense, the way Shanahan does it on offense, this system, both systems, because they're both taken from the same place, it's predicated on winning in the trenches. That's what our schemes are built around on both sides of the ball. One is we have to be able to run the ball really well and make it so to the point where teams have to bring extra guys into the box so the play action is effective. It's built on that, and the defense is built on pressuring the quarterback. Otherwise, we saw what happened. It doesn't work. It looks like crap. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see a lot of the picks in that area. And I know it's going to piss a lot of people off because we have a lot of holes and everybody wants other things, but I think that until we start putting the spices on or the icing on the cake, we have to build the foundation, and the foundation is the offensive and defensive line.
And I think when we do these mock drafts, our idea is we want to make sure that we don't have weak positions. So if we have, let's say, if we have 8 picks, just saying, I know we have more, but let's just say we had 8. We're going to probably make sure we do at least 6 or 7 different positions. Maybe we'll double up at tight end or linebacker or something like that. I really don't think that's how this front office is going to be thinking. Their idea is it's rather if we have a part of our team that is already okay, and if we can make them really good, that can camouflage that weakness that much more. So you know what? Maybe we're not going to add an additional cornerback. Maybe we're not going to spend the money for Stephon Gilmore or Joe Hayden or J.C. Jackson. But by adding this pass rusher, it's going to make our cornerbacks that much better because the other team's quarterback will not have time to throw the ball. So, it's not just about making the areas where you stink and make them be eh. Sometimes you got to get the parts of your team that are eh and make them be, oh, okay, that all of a sudden we got something to work with over here. So you know what? Whatever it takes to make the rest of the team go, that's what you do. And typically that is with the trenches. Because if Zach Wilson has more time to throw, these wide receivers and tight ends are going to have a little bit more time to get open. Now we still need more weapons. We know that. But if the quarterback doesn't have time to throw the ball, I'm sorry, we could have Randy Moss and Jerry Rice in their primes at starting wide receiver. If Wilson doesn't have more than 3 seconds to throw a pass, it doesn't matter.
Right. You need your quarterback to be good, but your quarterback to be good needs protection. So, you look at Carolina, they have very good receivers, right? It didn't mean anything because Sam Darnold is not good. Well, Zach Wilson's not good if he's running for his life all the time. So, whether he's, it's if you can't protect your quarterback, you're right. Those specialty positions mean nothing. And if you can't block well, your running backs don't mean anything. So, it's your running game is only as good as the offensive line. So, unless, you strike gold with, I don't know, Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. But even a lot of them, well, not Barry Sanders, but Emmitt Smith had a great offensive line. So,
he had the best in the league by far. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Back to this reason you don't draft Falali. I think it's funny that we talk about this guy and that Jet fans are intrigued with him because it's the same Jet fans that bitch about Becton being overweight want to take a guy who's almost 400 pounds. So Gitmo cracks me up. I totally see where he's coming from because I always wonder why people are so obsessed. Dude, he's huge. He's almost 400 pounds. I'm like, you cry every day because Becton is big and say it's the worst pick because he's big and that's why he gets hurt. Now you're begging for this guy? It doesn't make any sense to me.
What I'm doing, he hasn't had the best Senior Bowl practices just yet, so we will see. But from what I've heard, he's been beat a couple of times by Sanders, the kid from Cincinnati. So, and I'd say that's a pass rusher that we don't seem to talk a whole lot about, but he's getting some good reviews. So, not all good pass rushers this year may be taken in the first round. Like this Sanders guy, he might be a guy to watch.
So, Rusty. And this is a guy we'll look at.
Rusty.
This is not one of the guys we're looking at today, but Rusty, this is one of his diamonds. Travis Jones from Connecticut. Defensive tackle's a monster. He's playing in the seniors. Well, our guys will get to see him. And, I'm sorry it took so long to get to you. Peo is in the house. I hope you're still here. My man, congratulations. I hope you're getting ready for the Super Bowl. Peo is the Rams content provider. And hey, I just want the season to end so I can get you on my show. I know he's busy, he's doing everything, but I can't wait until that's all over. And after the Super Bowl, he's going to come in and do some mock drafts with us. We're going to do a lot of collaboration. So I'm excited about that. We're doing good, Peo. Hopefully people in the chat are respecting and being nice to you. I think everybody's always nice to you. So that's good.
Yeah, we don't have any reason to hate the Rams, really, that I could think of. Hey, they gave us JFM for one thing. I mean,
yeah,
not too bad.
So Gitmo has downgraded me for some of the mocks because he thinks that we can get a defensive tackle in free agency, and I agree. We might be able to find defensive tackles in free agency that are good, that are cheaper, but understand Sheldon Rankins didn't work out too good, so it's not that easy to find somebody. But maybe we should go for somebody a little bit more proven and not a disappointment who, everybody – we had a lot of players we signed that people made excuses for why they weren't so good. And then they weren't good. So maybe in Micro 33 we'll get a solid addition to the D line.
we might do 33. That is actually very possible this year.
Oh, I'm on pace. I'm on pace to get to 33.
Oh, you forget about it. Oh my gosh, yeah. But GreenBean asked me, yeah, but I volunteer to track green beans. So I mean, that's one a week as opposed to you. You're doing 9 a day. I mean, I got a job, man.
I'm more like 1 to 2 a week.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Oh, he's so funny, this guy. I'm gonna say who could pilot a jet in real life? I'm gonna say Zach Wilson because his uncle owns JetBlue.
Okay, because my think is he would have to. Well, put it this way: if the plane is going to crash, I have the confidence he could escape and get the plane out of trouble. I just don't think it would be the smoothest ride in the world.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But he's the most likely to have gotten his pilot license as a teenager, a lot of privilege, been on planes, and it's like his family realistically could have access to a jet. They have the money to get him lessons. Like I don't know any of the other jet that pops into mind that had access to that in their life at this age.
I've got 2 in mind. I've got 2 guys in mind here. Number 1, CJ Mosley. Steady, knows his stuff, completely focused. He may not get you there the fastest, but he'll get you there. He'll do all the little things right. The other guy, hey, Eddie Pinheiro, straight on, accurate. Yeah. He won't miss the runway.
That's true. Oh, Salty Nuts has a good question. John Nolte, Salty Nuts. Haven't seen you around as much, man. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I was worried about him. At one point, I said, "Where's Salty?" in Green Bay's thing, and he goes, "I'm right here." And he answered. I said, "Okay, he's alive." What do you want to do with pick 4, Adam?
Obviously, the easy answer is it depends where everything goes from here. I mean, my priority is to get a pass rusher. I want to break down Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and Karlaftis a little more to figure out who I think is, the best fit, learning to break down film and stuff like that. That's something I'm really trying to get into, and as opposed to just reading scouting reports. But I got to say, Icky, NC State, he's starting to grow on me. He really is starting to grow on me. I really want them to get offensive line somewhere in the first round, whether it's him, whether it's Linderbaum. The funny thing, and I really would prefer that to be in the interior. So I think my ideal situation is a pass rusher and an interior offensive lineman in the first round. I'm more open to wide receiver than I used to be, but I am not interested in a wide receiver in the top 10. I just don't see it in these guys. I don't see Jamar Chase. Just because Jamar Chase was there 2 years ago doesn't mean you'll have the same kind of player this year. And this is a deep draft for wide receivers and tight ends. You can get plenty of them later on. But when the depth goes, the depth goes. So I want to get that interior offensive line. There are so few centers, so few guards. I really want to hit that interior offensive line quickly. I really, really do.
So for those of you who I can't imagine don't know this, full-time Costa Tour is GreenBean. He's in his full-time Costa Tour account, and he's probably been here for a while, and I didn't know. So, hey, GreenBean, what's up? He's saying hello to Adam. That's right. I stole one of your guests. I stole Adam. I stole one of your boys. What am I saying? I'm one of his boys. So your
Well,
boys got it together. The kids are running amok.
I was a restricted free agent. But so he had a third round tender on me. Basically, is what happened. So.
So Salty is asking Rusty if he grabbed Thibodeau. Well, I certainly hope the answer to that is yes. I hope you grab Thibodeau.
Yeah, some guys are a little bit down on Thibodeau. By the way, I went to a PFN. I went to Pro Football Network where we do that. Where we do the mock drafts. I looked up the Travis Jones scouting report. He's ranked 86th, and the scouting report says, you guessed it, coming soon. Thanks, PFN. Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. I was looking forward to reading about him, but unfortunately, there was nothing there to read at this time. So,
yeah, let's see what GreenBean is weighing in with Kim Clark retiring. It's just further proof that we need to attack inside offensive line hard this offseason. Yeah, I think we have to resolve this. We have to resolve it. And based on how they're talking, it sounds like they're going to resolve it. Like it sounds like they said that last end of season conference. What did they say? They said we have to win in the trenches. I mean, you can't make it any clearer than that. If that's not them saying we need to complete our offensive line, I don't know what is.
Yeah, Zion Johnson's a guy that I think we're really starting to fall in love with. That's like our new crush almost. It's almost like we're putting Linderbaum aside a little bit, and now we're gravitating towards Zion Johnson. And I'm sure maybe in the month of March we'll find another guy to latch on to. But yeah, from what I'm hearing, Johnson's been looking pretty good, and that could be a target as well. Now, from what I'm seeing with Johnson, he should be there early second. So if your 2 second-round picks wind up being Zion Johnson and Trey McBride, you know what? I don't think there's any situation that every draft spot will be happy with, but that would be like, I think that would get like 99% approval to get that guard and that tight end. That'd be amazing.
I absolutely could not imagine anybody having a reasonable reason to not love that. If that happened, if we got Trey McBride and Zion Johnson in the second round, oh my God, that's just so sweet. Huge home run, man. I would love that. So, and it happens in our mocks. Ant Jets 82, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the chat. You've probably been here for a while. I was so far behind, but I'm glad you're here. So 2 different plays, and I was looking at the sky. Yeah, the lack of talk about him was glaring. From Ali and from all over Twitter, other people. Ali was getting me excited because he actually was right after I watched Harrison yesterday, who was very high on this guy, Jermaine Johnson, the edge. Then all of a sudden, Ali was talking him up and saying he looks really special, and people are really pumped up about this kid, Jermaine. So that's exciting, like another edge, possibility for us to look at. That we're not stuck on just making the decision on George, on Karlaftis. My problem with him is I think that George has a very high ceiling, but it's a high risk because he's a guy who hasn't played a lot of football for as long in his life, and they keep talking about raw talent. But that scares me because we hear that a lot about people and they never pan out. But then on the other side of that, there's JPP for the Giants, who when they drafted him was the same thing. People were saying raw, hasn't been playing a long time, but he's a freak athlete. And then we saw what JPP became. So.
I mean, Karlaftis does have size and speed, and Joe does like to take like these athletes, who may not have played a whole lot of football, but they've got the raw ability. I mean, I still remember Ashton Davis. Oh, he's a great hurdler. He runs the hurdles great. Yeah, that's great. What does that have to do with tackling and taking a good angle to the ball carrier? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I think if there's one thing, as much as I do believe in Joe Douglas, and I'm not going to kill his drafts, even the first one, I'll just blame Gase for it because it's just easy to do. I do think he is going a little bit too much with athletes in some of these cases, and I would just like to see, and maybe he figured that out a little bit more after the first year, because I think he did that a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. So now I think it's time to get away from that, because if we just get a couple of solid starters, I could deal with that. but we can't have another guy who's out of the league in 3 or 4 years because we had too many of those with the last 2 general managers. We don't even need to start naming the names. We all know who they are. So you have to, that's why a Chad Muma at linebacker later on makes a lot of sense. Like I've heard people say that's as safe as a day 2 draft pick as you will find. And you know what? If I could be like, okay, I could see that guy, plug him in, play it. He may be Calvin Pace or somebody like that. He may not make Pro Bowls, but he'll give you a good steady production for 5 years, 10 years. If that's the type of player we get in, the second round, third round, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, that Jeremy's on a record pace. I'm on a record pace because we have to get to Rusty's Diamonds soon. So we have to do that. So I'm like looking at the clock and making sure that we're going to get to everything. That's the new segment on my show. I'm really excited about it. And Payo Time had a question before. He said, what would you cook the New York Jets before their game, like before a game or whatever, and if you do well, you get the job as their cook. And
oh man, he knew who to ask that question to.
I know, but I wouldn't give my normal answer because I'm not going to say what I love to eat because I'm a fat bastard who sits on the couch watching the game. If you want to get the job as their chef, you're going to have to give them something that they like, but they're also going to be able to play well. So I think that I would go for fresh California Mexican food, like a fajita, Tex-Mex, like Tex or Cal-Mex, whatever. But like fresh chicken. I'd make fresh guacamole. Nothing, you know what I mean? Like, and grill the chicken with some spices, but not too much fat. Not something that's going to make him sick the next day. Not greasy, but I would use water, but I would caramelize some onions and peppers. Make some fresh guac, sour cream. Yeah, and just really fresh, good ingredients. No beans.
Yes, no beans.
And that's what I would do. And then, because I think it's delicious, and the guys would be ready to play. And he likes that we answer his questions. And everybody, I got a surprise for you. You're gonna love this, Watts. Okay, you ready for the surprise? Everybody ready for the most ultimate, awesome surprise in the world? Here it comes. Boom.
Hello.
How we doing?
What's up, friend?
Wat2K, you look so good, Wat2K. You do.
Green bean. I got about 6, 7, 8 more inches to catch up. So
that's all. I just trimmed it back today. See,
I can kind of see the haircut now. Now that you have the hat on, I think I can see the haircut, sort of.
See, I still have hair.
Look at that.
Yeah, you see. So, yeah, man. You got to cut your hair. I'm tired of it. It was always in my fucking face and my eyes. I couldn't handle it. Hello, Jets Mess.
Yeah,
I saw you on Discord, Mess. I was in we were in the Patreon safety breakdown today when you reached out on Discord, Mess. So I got back to you later, but sorry I missed you, buddy.
And look at the haircut. Did you get a haircut?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. My hair was down past it was like past my shoulders, man. I couldn't deal with it anymore. I couldn't do it.
I love it.
I just haven't cut it in like a year. I was like, I'm done. Can't do it.
Iowa Jets fan who tells us that all the great tight ends come from Iowa.
Hey, man.
That's true.
There's logic there.
Yeah.
Iowa, man. They grow them big. And then the people that go to Iowa, they recruit big, nasty, like, blue collar guys. I like Iowa. We should get all our players from Iowa.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to do. I lived in Illinois for 20 years. There's not a whole lot to do in Iowa except grow corn, play football, and just think of your next trip to leave Iowa.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Yeah, they just eat, get stronger. Fucking, that's what they do. That's what they got to do up there. They fight trees and bears and all that kind of stuff.
They fight trees.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, my number one guy was the coach from Iowa State. What the hell is his name? I can't remember it right now. I want to say McDaniels, but that's not it. Hold on. Football coach. I can't believe I don't remember his name. There it is, Matt Campbell. That was my number one get for head coach of the Jets, the head coach of Iowa State. That's who I wanted so badly, man. And secondarily was Fitzgerald. And then out of the NFL coordinators, I wanted Greg Roman, who just for what I don't think he wants to be a head coach, man. I really don't, because he's got the chops, he's got the record, the resume and everything. But yeah, man, that Iowa State coach is special. I mean, hey, Iowa Jets fan, are you an Iowa fan or Iowa State fan?
We'll find out.
Or Northern Iowa fan, for that matter.
I mean, George Kittle is like, you win me with George Kittle. Like, he's from Iowa.
Yeah, remember Dallas Clark though, Jeremy? Remember Dallas Clark?
Dallas Clark
is good.
Yeah. He's one of those guys who doesn't really get remembered, but man, he was sneaky good.
He was so good.
Yeah,
and I always think of him as a fullback, though. Was he a fullback
/ like an H-back kind of guy? He was like a little. He wasn't a big tight end, but he was like shifty. He was somewhere between a tight end and almost like a slot receiver. He was that kind of a guy.
Yeah, Clark and T.J. Hawkinson. I love T.J. Hawkinson in that draft, man. Loved him. I mean, I didn't think we should take him, but I liked him a whole bunch. He's doing well.
Yeah, I watch him.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that the mock drafts we've been doing, because Rusty, of course, is mentioning Charlie Kolar. Can you believe in the mock drafts? I think we've done 6. We haven't drafted Charlie Kolar one time yet.
Interesting, isn't it?
For as much love as we give Charlie Kolar, we have not taken him yet.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like, and every week I get comments. I get a lot of views after the fact. Like, it really blows me away how many people enjoy it after. Like, I really like the live interaction. I mean, I do it too, so I do get it. Like, when I can't catch a stream, I'll watch it later from time to time as well. So I get it, but I'm always surprised. I mean, I get sometimes I'll get 3,000 or 2,000 views after the live stream is over, and it's incredible. But I always get these comments like, I can't believe you don't pick this guy or you. And I'm like, did you watch it? Like, I don't pick. I mean, I might influence from time to time, I'll make my case or the guest or whatever. Like, we make our case and I'll vote. But every now and then, like in their later rounds, I'll go, no, we're just taking this guy. It's taking too long or whatever. But it's just funny. Everybody says, like, why don't you like this guy, or why won't you take this? I'm like, dude, I know I don't make picks in the mock drafts. You know what I mean? I just I got to make a video of my own. You know what I mean? Because then I'll see what I want. Like, half the time, especially in the first 4 picks, I don't even agree with the picks we're taking. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, GreenBean. If you were doing the draft, every pick you take would be a tight end. Let's be honest.
At least 3 of them. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what, if I had my druthers this year, like, seriously, if best case scenario for me, what I would do is I would sign, I'm so tired. What's my brain? The guy, Schultz. Dalton Schultz. I would sign Dalton Schultz. I'd give him the $11-12 million that he's going to want. I would get him, okay, to have a vet proven tight end in here. And then I would use my 2nd round pick on Trey McBride, or if he goes in the first, which he might, after he lights up the combine, after he plays well in the Senior Bowl and then lights up the combine, you're going to see he's going to be talked about as a 1st round pick. Right now, he's being talked about as a 2nd round pick. He's going to bleed into the first, in my opinion. And rightfully so. He should be. He's the best tight end in the class, probably. But if not, like, let's say, so I would sign Schultz and I would take Trey McBride. If he's not there, I would probably take Ruckert, or maybe I still have a little bit of work to do, like on Wiedermeyer and Isaiah Likely and those guys. But I would definitely take a tight end in the same mold, man. Like, I would have Dalton Schultz. I would have another one, same mold. That big, strong, blocking, great hands, finds the seams, that guy. Great teammate. And then I would keep Yeboah as my 3rd and just keep developing him. Just keep developing him and get a young guy in it all. And I would have 3 rock'em sock'em tight ends. And then I would wait till the later rounds. Or, but I would win like a 5th round pick and I'd grab the best tight end on the board and stick him on my fucking practice squad. Like, that's what I would do. Tight ends are so important. Like, last year, I got laughed out of every mock. Everybody made fun of me. They called me, Friarmouth or whoever, And I kept saying to everybody, tight end is a greater need for our team than wide receiver last year, right? I was saying, I think it is now. Again, still, we need a wide receiver, but especially in this offense, you saw LaFleur tried to force 22 personnel for the first 4 games of the season. And when it wasn't 22, it was 12. So he was trying to keep 2 tight ends and a fullback on the field at the same time, which only leaves 2 wide receivers. So if we had Dalton Schultz and Trey McBride, and then you have like Nick Bawden and Michael Carter, dude, or even Rashad White, or we take a running back too. So you have those guys on the field. All you need is Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, or like, you don't need all these crazy, like, number 1 wide receiver. Fuck it, dude. Get 8 to 15 yards a clip and just punch their face the whole way down the field. Just beat them up, get 8 yards, 6 yards, 10 yards, and just batter them. That's what I want to see. If it was my decision, that's what I would do. I would draft Rashad White, and I'd go, these defenses need to ask somebody. They need to bring friends, because we are going to pound their, not ground and pound, but pound them. Every single pass, they're going to get hurt taking our guy down. Like, that's what I would do the whole time.
I would overflow finance. I think the explanation that people should understand is that everyone says, why don't you take Charlie Kolar? I think the reason is because we're in such a rush when you do the drafts. Everybody's such a rush to get the tight ends, and he's ranked so low that by the time we get down to, when we get down there, we already have 2. We've doubled up already because we've grabbed Ruckert. I'm sure if we missed out on Ruckert in a draft, in one of the drafts we do, then Kolar would be the guy that was that second tight end. But in real life, it might be different. If we don't pick one in the second round, Charlie Kolar could be a 3rd round pick.
Totally. The only thing with Charlie Kolar is that he's not quite as dynamic, right? Like, he's one of my favorites. Like, I sincerely like him. I liked him last year before he chose to stay in school. And I was disappointed. And I was like, oh, he was a guy I think fit the Jets mold. But he's a very strong blocker, but not great. And he's got good, like, really good hands. And he's, but he's not great. Like, he's not as dynamic as Trey McBride and Ruckert's kind of similar. But like Wiedermeyer or Likely, like, those guys, they can be big impacts in the passing game. And even though Kolar's numbers are good passing wise, like receptions, they're very strong. I still think that when he gets to the NFL, he's probably going to be a 30 catch guy over like a 50 catch guy. You know what I mean? I think that's probably, I could be wrong, but I still like him just as much. But I'd hate to see him be the one tight end that we bring in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually want to give you some tight end. Well, let's address burnt dice, but then I got some tight end numbers. I actually got these from Nanny, I want to drop some stuff.
So burnt dice, I highlighted him because he gets. This is when he joins the chat. He's a listener, but when you start to talk about Schultz, you know that burnt dice is about to chime in, and he's not as impressed with him, especially with the amount of money that I think burnt dice feels that he's going to want over $12 million a year.
You pay him. So I mean, when they start talking about 40 times,
he thinks that he's overrated.
Dude, he was 5th in the NFL in touchdowns, 3rd in receptions. Like, I mean, you can talk 40 times all day. I mean, one of the least impactful stats for a tight end is their 40 time. Least impactful. He's a crushing blocker. He's got very soft hands. He runs nice, clean routes. He knows how to get open. And when the ball hits him, he catches it. 10.4 yards a catch. Guess what? Do that. Throw it to him every single down. That's all I want. That's all I want. Again, I think, and I might have the numbers flipped, burnt dice, but it's like 3rd in touchdowns, 5th in receptions, or 5th in touchdowns. It's one or the other.
I think it's 5th in receptions. Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's what you want. I mean, it's like when we talk about 40 times for defensive ends or tackles, or it's like we're looking at the 10-yard split for those guys, right? But tight ends, when's the last time, unless you want like a Kyle Pitts, you want that guy that's going to literally be able to spread out the defense and all that. Okay, then you can be talking about it. When you're talking about a guy that's going to be an inline, an inline blocker, or you know what I mean, an inline tight end, dude, 40 time means nothing. Like when he catches the ball, he's going to hit a couple guys. He's going to drag 2 or 3 guys for 5, 6 more yards, fall forward for 2 more, and get me 11 to 15 yards a clip. And I'm singing his praises for the rest of my life. Like that's all I want from my tight ends. I don't want Kyle Pitts. Now, would I take? Yes, I'd love Kyle Pitts, but I'm just saying I don't even need that, you know? Hey, Braden. Yeah, look, Braden, you know what? He was on the positional breakdown Zoom meeting that I do for my Patreons. Today was our first one. And Braden was with us, me and Dom. And we got to talk about safeties and stuff. But yeah, if you guys want to join my Patreon, every week we do a positional breakdown. Next week is... What is next week? Next week is cornerbacks. Maybe we're going to break down maybe 5 to 10 of the prospects, the cornerback prospects, and then every fourth Wednesday we show a classic Jets game and watch that together. That was a blast, man. We had such a good time watching the Midnight Miracle. I wish you guys were there.
And the entry level is only $5 a month to be a Patreon. There's a $10 plan and a $25 plan, but like just to get those things, to be on the Discord and everything, it's $5 a month. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't do it. We all pile onto your shows. Everybody loves Green Bean. We love his shows. This is more personalized. You get more time to talk and chat. That's like, I love it. I don't get to do it all the time because my family meetings, I got something going on with my family and we meet on Wednesdays for updates.
Right.
So I haven't been able to get on. So there's been a lot of issues with Wednesdays with me. But when I get on the Discord, it was great. Remember the one time I was flying to North Carolina and I'm at the airport. And I'm like just bored out of my mind, stuck at the airport. And it's like, it's Wednesday and Green Bean goes, yo, hop on. And we're on Discord and it just made... I could have missed my plane because that's how fast time went because I had my. It's like
it's a blast, man. It's a blast. Sometimes there's like 10 of us on there, and I mean tonight, Braden. Think about it. It was so personal. Like obviously we see each other in the chats and everything, but today I got to see Braden's face, which was just so cool, and I even got to meet his daughters. You know what I mean? Like that's how personal it gets. It was really amazing, man. Like I love the live streams and I love the chat interaction. I love it. But this was on an entirely different level. Like he could ask questions like, hey, what do you think about this? Or what happens when this? And we were chatting and it was great. It was our first time. We got some kinks to work out. Hamilton for 27 minutes. So it wasn't supposed to be that long, but it was good. And I appreciate it, Braden. That was great.
I can't wait to experience it next week for sure. Adam, you have numbers for tight ends before we.
Yeah, so I got
so great about Adam. You could just pull. We can cut him off. It was so great about Adam.
I know.
As we talk, he's pulling up information, but I'm just messing with you. We're gonna let you talk now.
I know, especially when Green Bean just gets on a roll, I'll be like, okay, I got 5 minutes to look something up.
I don't shut up. I won't shut up.
No, it buys me time. I actually appreciate it in a way. So
that's funny.
One of the things that Nania came up with was this catches added stat. Long story short, it looks at contested catch rate and adds that along with the drop rate. And just who, it basically shows what receivers have the best hands and who makes the difficult plays. That's the simple way to say it. So he looked in college football, and there are 163 qualified tight ends. So again, this factors in drops and contested catches. So he's got the top 5, and then I've got a couple who ranked a little bit lower. So number 5 was Isaiah Likely, 5th best in the country. 4th best was Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin. 3rd best was Cole Turner, Nevada.
Right.
Now, here's where it gets fun. 2nd, Trey McBride. And number 1, Charlie Kolar.
Yeah, that's our boy, right?
That's number 1.
Nice.
Now I'll mention where three other guys are. This is going to be interesting. Jeremy Ruckert, out of 163, placed 45th. Now, he only had 39 targets, so he didn't really have a lot of drops, and he didn't have many contested catches. So you haven't has as big of a sample size with Jeremy Ruckert. Okay, and Cade Otton, Washington, came in 101 out of 163. Didn't do very well with the contested catches. But here's the one that I found shocking. Coming in dead last was Jalen Wiedemeyer from Texas A&M.
Interesting. So he had the most drops.
He led the country with 8 drops. No tight end in the country had more drops than Wiedermeyer.
Is there a percentage though? Like, did he get 20% more attempts or something? Or
so he grabbed 8 of his 16 contested targets, 50%. So okay. And he caught 40 passes, but he had 8 drops. So he had a 16 points. So the rate that we have here was a 16.7% drop rate. And he racked up basically then it starts to get into percentages. I won't bore you with all of that. But the bottom line is this. Wiedermeyer, watch out. This stat has me worried about this guy. Okay? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things, right? I mean, numbers alone are tricky sometimes because numbers are the truth, right? Like that's the interesting thing about mathematics, right? Jeremy, you're a math guy. I never was. I always like to philosophize. Like that's my thing. Math always made me very uncomfortable because it was so rock solid. It was just like, no, that's wrong because the number says this. But the truth is that there are stories around numbers. The numbers are the foundation, but then there's still the subfloor and the walls and the roof and the this and the that. So there's still those things. So when you look at somebody who has more drops than everybody else, like and I just a hypothetical example, like if he has, twice the drops as a Jeremy Ruckert, but Jeremy Ruckert also had half of the attempts, the targets, right? Thank you. The targets, then the number's skewed. You know what I mean? So it's still the same number. And you don't want to see 8 drops, but again, there are situations that I would love to see, all of the information like put in there when we talk about these numbers. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Wiedermeyer fan. Wiedermeyer's more of a receiving tight end, right? I like I said, I still have work to do on him. I did a lot of surface level stuff. I haven't read all the draft reports and really watched too much full game stuff of him yet. So I don't like to speak too much out of turn, but so far he's just like, I'd be happy if we got him, but he's not the guy I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Like for me, I want a guy who's ferocious blocking, but also has like a Kels, like a Kittle, like Mickey Schuler was for us so many years ago. Like even our most recent tight end success was Dustin Keller. And he really wasn't a good blocker at all. He could do it like once he got into the defensive backfield, he was an okay blocker, but he would get eaten up on the line. And it's like, I don't know, man. That's why a lot of fans weren't. I loved Dustin Keller, but a lot of fans were down on him. And I think that had a lot to do with it because he was, he's one dimensional. A tight end is a very specific position. You don't want just a receiver. You can get a receiver for that. Tight end should be a guy that can block and is hard to take down in addition to having, reliable hands.
I think Keller was the kind of guy where you always felt there was a little bit more to get out of him. I felt like we never got to see his true potential. Whether it was, I go back to that opening night against Baltimore when he went out of bounds, 1 yard short on 4th down. I think seeing things like that, it's like, does this guy know what he's doing when he's on the field? Stuff like that. I mean, the kind of guy I want to see like our version of Mark Andrews. That's I think the tight end that people don't ever really talk about, but the guy's all pro, and he won't get 10. He's not the most targeted guy, but he has a tendency to come up with those catches in big spots, and he can run after the catch. And like you said, GreenBean, ferocious on the line, very good blocker. Yeah, that's the kind of player that I'm looking to get. So I want our Mark Andrews.
Yeah. And don't you want what identity do we want? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, we got to develop an identity, man. And you can see what LaFleur and obviously co-signed by Saleh, what they wanted to do. You can see what they wanted their identity to be. They kept Wesco in there with a running back, and they kept 2 tight ends. So they had 3 big uglies next to the 5 offensive linemen. They wanted to be an aggressive member. They said it in training camp. They said they want to be able to dictate their will to the other team. They don't want to have to adjust to the defense. And that's what they tried to do, but they didn't have the personnel to do it. So I would love that identity to be what they want it to be, not just what, we have more receivers, so I guess that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? I want them to be able to make the offense around our talent. You got to be able to do that. Somebody gets hurt, you got to be able to adjust and all that. But would you rather our identity be like, we have a mess of wide receivers and you know what I mean? It can be fun and everything. Or would you rather us be like the Steelers have their fucking identity? Like for decades, they just pound you. Like they're meaner than you. They're more aggressive. They win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. The Ravens do the same thing. Like that's who they are, man. Like no matter who it is, like you said, Andrews, like after Heap and after they always have him. He's always there. They always have the tight end that can bust your lip open on the line, can get open, great hands, can block downfield, knows the game of football smart. They always have him. He's always there. That's their identity, man. They are tough. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that we get going.
And they have the depth too. I mean, they had so many injuries this year, but they have replacements. They have guys who could step up because the system is established there. Right. I want to be the Ravens. That is the type of team I want to see the Jets become. So having that depth, having that identity, which takes time to build, and earning that respect from around the league. And when I don't just mean other teams' fans, I mean from the players where they're like, I want to go there because I know I have a chance to win. And I know I'm going to go to an organization that knows what they want and they have a vision for me. And the best coaches, the same thing. The hot new assistant coaches, they want to go to the place where they're going to be groomed, where they're going to be developed to further their careers. That is the type of organization I want to see the Jets become.
Yeah.
Now, that in mind, we're going to go to a new segment of the show where we're going to try to find those players. And the segment is called Rusty's Diamonds because Rusty Spooner is an expert at finding these late round gems.
Yeah, he's good. Good stuff.
So I'm going to come up with, I don't know how to do how GreenBean does with Frankie's facts. So this is going to be a little half-assed, but eventually we'll have a nice little intro to the segment. But this is what I came up with for now. Okay, so let me, well, actually, I got to do it the right way. Share screen. Okay. Go here. I'm going to share. Okay, so let me do a little bit of the intro just so you understand what's going on. I'm going to say, I got a little music for him just for you, Rusty. Okay, there we go. And now
I love the artwork. That was good. That was good. I'm impressed.
Not what I imagine, but it works.
I'm impressed.
So the first of Rusty's Diamonds that we're going to look at now is, and I'll lower the volume so we can talk over it. We don't need the loud music and everything. Is we're just going to look at some tape on Kyle Phillips. Rusty says he's a wide receiver that could be a replacement for Crowder. So I'm imagining slot receiver. And hold on one second. I want to put up one thing. Rusty says he's not an expert. Okay. I say you're an expert. But let's look at this guy, Kyle Phillips. I'll pause so we can just kind of check him out. As a child, you would wait and watch for fire. Okay, so that was a good catch, right? What do you think, GreenBean?
I was in. Hold on, let me see. Kyle Phillips is UCLA.
Yeah,
UCLA.
I don't like anybody from UCLA.
But watch this. Okay, so you can go low.
Nice footwork. That's him. He's on his feet well.
That was nice.
That was.
I like it after the catch.
Nice.
He's saying Crowder, but he's looking more like a Braxton Berrios, right?
That's not.
See, what I like about that is he found space in the middle of 4 defenders.
Yeah. See that? Oh, I'm watching it on the delay. I should be watching it with you. I'm watching it on the YouTube.
Okay.
See, where is it? Look at that's another one. Look at that.
He has a way of finding open space.
He's in the middle of 4 guys.
None of these are contested catches. Like he's finding a way to get open.
Yeah.
Down the bottom.
Okay.
What's his measurables?
I'm imagining he looks small and thin. That's why he's a slot receiver. But Rusty will probably have those details on him, right? Rusty, use the chat.
Could look it up.
Yeah, so I can find 2.
I'm wondering where he is. I never even noticed him during the draft, so I have to look how far down he is. Like what kind of
5'11", 191.
Okay.
5'11".
He's bigger than Elijah.
Think about it. Robbie Anderson was 6'3", and he was $185. No, $175. What the hell was Robbie? I forget.
Yeah, he's skinny.
Okay.
Yeah, it says,
Think about Devonta Smith is $170.
Yeah, he's a tiny guy.
Doesn't seem that. See, some of these guys, they play bigger than their actual size.
Yeah.
What was this? After 2 days, I'm reading USA Today. After 2 days of practices for the Shrine Bowl in Las Vegas, one thing seems clear. UCLA wide receiver Kyle Phillips can't be guarded.
Oh, I love it.
I like that.
That's
sound.
good.
Remember that.
Rusty
So let's think about
Diamonds.
that. We would have 2 Kyle Phillips, like 2 Davises, 2
2 Michael Carters.
2 Michael Carters, exactly.
JFM, LDT, AVT, fucking whatever. All
This
these guys, you know.
This guy might be I don't know. Rusty, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see him like when I do the mock. So maybe he's like a 5th rounder.
I'm thinking about I think 5th looks pretty good. Like in the PFN rankings, he's about 180 for what those are worth.
Okay. He knows how to play against the zone. You can see that. He finds the space.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I've been looking to see if he could get some stuff after the catch. Like a lot of times he's finding a way to get open, but not getting a whole lot of yards after the catch. That last one he did.
Yeah. There's a lot of clutch catches, though. Zach could use a guy that can do that.
So this is on a 4th and 4.
Clutch, man. Well, they don't show his drops.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure even Devin Smith looked fantastic in these types of clips.
No, like I'm looking at I just looked at the PFN boards. He's rated the 180th overall player. So we're talking about, I mean, PFN is all out of whack anyway. We know that. They're unreliable as far as basing your big board thoughts on what they have. They were really bad last year too. But that would put him, let me look at Draft Tech real quick. I'm just going to look at something and see where they have them. Draft Tech tends to be significantly better. So let me see their big board. I'll tell you right now.
If you like the comparison, NFL comparison, some people like that, some people hate it. But the comparison I'm seeing here is Hunter Renfrow from the Raiders.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one, everybody.
That's a really good one. I was thinking Chris Hogan, always open. Like the guy they call 7-Eleven.
Meaning Phillips is going to be playing lacrosse in 5 years.
Draft Tech doesn't even have him listed in their top 40-something wide receivers. Let me see.
He might be an undrafted free agent, possibly.
Oh, that's the kind of guy you want to get. So he played in the Shrine Bowl?
Yeah, like PFN, he's like the 20th receiver.
Oh, that's tomorrow, the Shrine Bowl, right? Tomorrow's the Shrine Bowl, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, it was. The article was written like 3 days ago for the practices. So yeah, this was just written. Yeah, I haven't been paying much attention to the Shrine Bowl. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I like to try to catch it. There's too much, man. I can't. It's like this isn't our job. It's hard. It's hard to keep track of everything, man. It really is. That's why.
This will be the first time probably I've watched the Senior Bowl. I don't think I've ever watched the Senior Bowl in my whole life, but this year.
Oh, yeah, I've watched it a couple of times. It's fun. It's fun.
I've never been this excited for a Senior Bowl.
I've never been excited for a Senior Bowl.
Yeah, well, the Jets are coaching it, so there you go. You know, that's why. There you go. Oh, you know what? I'll find him right now. Hold on. I'm going to find Kyle Phillips. Hold on.
Oh, you got to
I like this one.
You got to like that.
Oh, my God.
Show that again. Show that again. I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We got to watch that one again. That was pretty.
I'll come backwards a little bit.
And this video is another 6 minutes. Okay. We got a lot of highlights.
We'll see if we'll go through the whole thing or not, but
Yeah.
that's good. That means he has a lot of highlights, dude.
And this is in a second overtime, so this is in a pretty good spot. Okay,
Here's the next one. Here it is.
4th and 18. Okay, great.
4th and 18.
In overtime against Stanford.
I mean, I just love that. Contested.
That was
the goal line.
I almost want to see that catch from another angle, to be honest.
Oh.
A little hesitation there.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Very nice. Did you see that, GreenBean?
Yeah, I saw. That was beautiful.
That was against LSU. Incredible. That's no joke.
Yeah, right. Who was the corner? Who was the corner?
If it's LSU, I know it wasn't Stingley because he wasn't playing that game.
Yeah, well, UCLA is blowing out LSU. Look at that. It was 31 before he scored that. Right?
Let's look at that again. Who is the
Here it is.
See who that is.
21.
And that's the safety is 20 missing. That's that. So look at this. They have him dead in the water. They have him dead in the water. Look at that cut. Look, he's going to break his hip.
21 and 7. Those were the two defenders.
That's a beautiful play. That's the tape you sent to every NFL scout.
No kidding. That was impressive.
So, hey, Draft Tech has him rated as their number, where the hell did he go? Their number 8 slot receiver in the entire draft, but they have him rated the 225th overall player.
A little bit lower. Okay.
Yeah, so 225, but the 8th best pure slot receiver. Like there are guys that are, considered they can be on the outside as well. They're calling him purely a slot receiver, but 225. So maybe I don't think a guy like him is going to slip out of the draft. Maybe, but maybe we grab him with like our 2nd, 4th, or maybe a 5th if he's still there. That'd be great. I would love a player like that.
Burnt Ice is saying 7 is Stingley.
See that? Go.
Was that from this year then? I thought Stingley played. Wow.
So you see that, man. This is sometimes these guys, they don't get to play against some of the more marquee talent out there. And then sometimes there are guys slipping under the radar, but when you look at their production of against guys we're all calling number 1 picks or 1st, 2nd round, and then they beat them. So it's like, okay, sometimes like Gitmo Bob just said, he said, I always trust the eye test is how he said it. That's me too, man. Like, look, I'm not quite the evaluator as a lot of other people out there. Luke from Play Like a Jet, obviously Joe Blewett and some others. But at the same time, I know football. You know what I mean? And you can see guys like we get caught up in these measurables. We get caught up in like Burnt Ice was talking about with 40 times, and we get burnt, all caught up in the combine. Sometimes you see guys, their on-field production, they say is going to be a 1st or 2nd round pick. Then he has a few bad drills at the combine, and they're talking about him as a late 3rd and 4th. It's like, really? From those numbers, he didn't jump high enough for you, or his hand is 7/8 of an inch smaller than we want. And they get caught up in that stuff. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't factor that in, but sometimes, man, there are guys like this Kyle Phillips guy, and I got to look more into him. But there are guys like that. The size, you don't love his size. You don't love this. You don't love that about him. But guess what? Every time he's on the field, he's beating everybody. You know what I mean?
And Phillips will be at the Senior Bowl, but he's being coached by the Detroit team. He's being coached on the American team. So
let's watch him.
Yeah, Jets will be coaching against them. Let's see what happens.
Did you guys know that there was a trade in the Senior Bowl roster? Did you guys know that?
No.
No, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, initiated by the Detroit Lions. We don't know the player, but they're not allowed to trade. Like if there are players, like more than one player from the same college team, they're not allowed to separate them. They keep players on the same team on the same roster, right? So that alleviates a bunch of guys. And then there are some other guys that you can. So when you whittle it down, there's a few options. A couple of them. One is Isaiah Likely. The other one is Greg Dulich, the tight end. And I believe there's a couple more. I forget, but there's only like 5 guys that it could be. But the Detroit Lions initiated the trade, asked for a player that they wanted to get a closer look at, and the Jets agreed. So isn't that interesting? I didn't even know they could do that.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I'm actually looking this up on the Pride of Detroit website, and yeah,
check it out.
Same thing, but right now we're not allowed to apparently know who the player is. So this article that I'm reading said it's very likely a tight end that the Lions may have requested to see a certain player. One guy I'm seeing it might have been is who's this guy? Greg Dulcich, tight end from UCLA. That might be a guy.
Dulich. Yeah, Dulich. But if Kyle Phillips is on the team, then no, it's not Dulich because he has another teammate on the squad. So they have to keep those guys together.
Okay, yeah. This is just speculation on who they think it could be. So
this is again against LSU this play. So
okay, let's see if Stingley gets toasted.
And Bert Dice is saying that Stingley did play some games, and so this is Stingley. So if he's going against number 7 again.
That's interesting camera angle.
Behind him.
Yeah, his camera angle's fucking beat.
It's 21 again. It's that guy 21. Or at least
let's watch the whole thing from the pylon camera. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, this is the worst. I mean, I guess this part. Look at him lose. Yeah, that was Stingley. So Stingley came over and tried to tackle him and got beat, but he wasn't the guy in coverage at first.
Yeah, let's watch that again because you can see Stingley pop in.
Welcome to why Dirk Stingley is overrated.
Oh, that's the same play again from a different angle.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah. Okay, now it's acceptable. That wasn't the main angle. That was an additional angle.
Ooh.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, he's
Rusty.
So now I want to know what the negatives are. There's got to be something going on.
Wow. That was
nice throw too, but man.
So maybe Joe Douglas is thinking. So Berrios said, now that I'm the National Association of Sports Writers kick returner, too. Like he's an all-pro. He's a second team Pro Bowler, and he's now the Association of Sports Writers kick returner as well in their award ceremony thing. So maybe he's saying, hey, I want $10 million a year now. And Joe Douglas is saying, well, why would I pay you that? Because I'm going to draft Kyle Phillips in the 4th and pay him $350,000. That's the crazy. That's the thing. Joe Douglas has to pay somebody. I don't know who it's going to be, though. I'm a little nervous. I'm starting to think, Ali was talking about it last night. He's got a bad feeling about Berrios. He said, I got to tell you, I'm feeling the same way. But if Joe Douglas is planning on drafting like this guy, why not?
So here's something I'm noticing about these plays we're watching is look at the situations of these catches. This is a 33-30 game with a minute left in the 4th quarter.
We've seen so many 4th downs just in 3 minutes. It's been a lot of 4th down.
So this is the guy they go to in
overtime,
clutch situations where you can't afford a drop pass.
Well, let me tell you, that was Mims for 2 years in Baylor.
Yeah.
Different style offense, I would say, but yep.
Yeah, but I'm saying situations. Yeah.
And he goes in.
It's almost on the defense that he got that open.
Is he a punt returner?
Is he a returner?
Oh, Berrios is gone.
Oh, look. Wow, look at him. He's
the night we knew.
Holy cow!
The night we knew. Right.
Yep. On
Holy cow,
February
he's
2nd,
really good.
2022, number 2 entered our hearts. Kyle Phillips.
That's right. We all knew at that moment Berrios is a gunner.
On 2/2/22, we had number 2. That was it.
Holy shit!
I love this guy. Rusty nailed it again. I like a lot of Rusty's guys. Yeah.
He just gets first. He's a first down machine.
Open again.
You see that stiff arm too? He popped him.
I was gonna say if he gets around that,
I know.
Okay, not quite, but still pretty good.
Nice. You know what I like about him is that he catches the ball first and then does his moves. You know what I mean? Like you notice that? Like he's so many guys are thinking about that move before they actually have the ball. And every one I'm watching of him, he tucks that ball and then he makes his move. That's the secondary thing. First priority, catch the ball.
Yeah,
Number 2, Kyle Phillips.
With his body.
On the ground. I like that he can go low. If you throw it a little off, he'll still save you. He'll help you out. This is what Zach needs, guys that help him out.
I wonder what the knock on him is, other than the fact that he's under 6 feet tall.
This is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come.
Look at that catch.
No.
I like it.
Yes.
He's a hands player. Look at that. He's got hands.
He stayed in bounds on that. 3rd and 12. Another spot where he'd find space against like 3-4 defenders. Did it again.
Look at that. In the traffic.
And he got a first down in that spot. That's solid.
I like that they put this music to it.
The music is pretty cool, yeah.
Nice.
He gets those extra yards.
Yep. Nice. Always secure the ball. That's what he does. Look how many receptions he's getting against that team.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh,
that was. How many extra yards did he just pick up on that play? 35. There you go.
Everyone's gonna cry if we don't pay Barrios like $8-9 million a year, 3 years guaranteed. But like the role he plays, I mean, can this guy step in and do it? And there's 8 guys ranked higher.
Man, oh man.
That punt return was sweet, huh?
I don't even know what my favorite highlight is so far. There've been a number of ones that are like.
Well, the one that he makes the two of them look bad, like it looks like he's broke their ankle, and the punt return.
Okay, was that the LSU one? The one against Stingley?
Yeah, the LSU one I love.
Yeah. Jared, what are we watching? I just got here. We're watching Kyle Phillips play wide receiver. We moved him from defensive end.
No, there's this. We're watching Kyle Phillips, one of Rusty's diamonds in the rough. Is this the same one? No, this is a different one.
No, this is a different one. Yep, bounce. That's a new one. What is he going to do here?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
I'm done. I'm sold.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, he took it all the way.
Oh, my God.
Holy crap.
How is this
again? I got to see that again.
This is a perfect guy for us.
I'm sorry, but I got to see that. Did I really see that?
He's my top wide receiver in the draft.
Trailing who?
Yeah.
It was so long, I have to go back further.
Yeah, I know it took that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, this is insane.
Okay, here's the final.
Hard to catch.
17, 2, 3, 4 hundred tackle, 5. He's gone.
But watch
There's
this.
another one. He gets around 6. That's not just speed. That's intelligence. He knows where to go.
Yeah, right.
He
That's a great
exactly where to
point.
go.
That's a great point, man.
This is special. This guy. You're right. Like he could see the whole field and read it and know where to go. Like he played that perfectly. I like him. He has a ton of highlights, man. How many touchdowns did he score in college?
I'll look this up. I'll look it up.
Yeah. Look at this.
I'm a sucker for pain. I got the squad tatted on me from my neck to my ankles.
Dude, this guy's a touchdown machine.
And a first down machine.
Yeah. Look at this. Oh, man.
Get out of
He
here.
just has a nose for the line, man. He knows where he needs to go.
That's right. That's intelligence. He's got it.
Like who gon' try us? Feeling the world go against us. So we put the world on our shoulders. Take my hand.
Nice. Quarterback fooled everyone on that, though. Wow. Are we sold on him?
I don't know what round, but boy, oh boy, if they took him in the 4th round, I wouldn't be upset. Let me see. I'm gonna look some stats up. So he had 10 touchdowns this season. Looks like. Okay, it looks like for receiving 59 catches, 739 yards, 10 touchdowns. Longest reception was 75 yards.
Jeez.
Yeah, they got all here by like exact down, but that's the overall. Yep, 59 for 739, 10 touchdowns.
Wow. So the next player that we're going to look at. So I think we found a new receiver that we're going to look for later rounds in the draft and hype up.
Okay.
But this next guy is someone we know a little bit more about, and we say his name a lot more. I don't know how much tape you've looked at on him, but Roger McCreary. So he's a guy that we talk about a lot. Everybody, a lot. It's like I think the debate is Kyler Gordon or Roger McCreary. I think they might go around the same time or be a decision general managers have to make. Like, who do you take, Kyler Gordon or McCreary? I thought for a while that McCreary could go first round, honestly. So, and there are people who believe that. So we'll watch him right now. We got to figure out what number he is.
He's 23. Number 23.
Okay, well, he's the guy probably that just intercepted that pass. But let's look at that.
Good analysis, Jeremy.
Huh? Good
I
analysis.
really bet you're right on that one.
Certainly available.
I just want to see where he is. So he's all over that guy in front of him. Okay.
He's Auburn, so he's got to be in blue. Oh, there we go. There we go.
McCreary down the sideline, touchdown Auburn.
Maybe that's
190 pounds.
Maybe you'll talk to him in this week's edition of your show.
Exactly what he was able to do.
Oh, here we go.
You
Look how he came through and read it.
Okay.
Like he literally came through those two guys. Watch that again in slow motion. That's pretty sick.
Tied for 4th in the country with 14 passes defensed.
Of your show.
exactly what he was able to do.
What he does right
and so
here. Comes
you have
through
a
them.
receiver
Okay.
that is
I
trying
like
to
how he had to go back and grab the ball. It wasn't at his chest. He had to reach back.
Yeah. That was beautiful. He just read that like a book.
and it's
Second
intended
grade
to.
book.
He never comes back to the football. And
Smaller
so
than 6
Murray,
feet, I got to be honest.
He seems what?
He seems a little smaller than 6 feet. I mean, his listed height is 6 feet. I don't know if he's 6 feet, but
he run.
Franklin not using a timeout on first
Okay,
down.
so-
Look downfield, launches, and
Let's look. Where is he right now?
right there. Yep, he's right on the 8-yard line, about to most likely pick this off.
right in the trap.
right there.
Okay, well, it looks like the guy caught it. So is he going to strip it?
I think he's in white. Penn State's in blue.
Huh?
No, Penn State was on offense wearing blue. Auburn's in white. So 23 in white is McCreary.
Okay, so that's him giving up a big pass.
We sure. All right, let's play one more time. I thought he took it away. Let's see.
Line by Roger McCreary.
Wait a second.
Yeah, the ball was loose.
Okay. Let's watch that. We'll listen to what the announcer says.
Okay.
Traffic is going to be picked off inside the 5-yard line by Roger
Oh, he picked that off?
He picked it off.
Holy cow. Okay.
McCreary.
Receivers in tight. Bryce Young doesn't have a big play yet today. Nice play defensively by Roger McCreary. Told you he'd be busy today trying to stay with Williams and Mechie and company.
So that's him.
Oh, good.
Against Mechie.
So this guy's played against real people.
You got to lower that shit. It's too loud when you play it.
A nice play there.
Wow, it's so fucking loud.
And now there's no music.
Yeah, who needs it?
Knocked away.
On fourth down.
Roger McCreary seals it for the Tigers.
All right, listen, I got to bounce out of here, fellas. I got to get out.
Okay, hold on.
Good hang. This is good. Rusty nailed it. Kyle Phillips. Hey, let me share. Can I share my screen? I just did a mock while I was sitting here.
How do I do that?
Let me see. Hold on.
Kyle Phillips with the number
Hold
4
on.
overall.
Let me see. Wait. Here. Can you see it?
This isn't Zoom. I don't know how I can make you. How I can share your screen.
I just shared mine. Can you see it? Wait, hold on. Hold on. Let me see.
There's a way to do this. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can do it.
GreenBean knows things.
Can you see it? Oh, it's not showing up. I don't know how then. I mean, it's showing up on mine, but it's like it's not coming through for some reason.
Let me see if there's a way to give you.
Go down to share. It'll say like let people share or something. It's no big deal. It's no big deal.
I just want to see if I can do it real fast. Share screen view.
Right, let me see.
No, I don't know if it's giving me that ability. It's not showing that ability. So maybe I need. I'm looking at. I'm like hitting the dots like I'm in Zoom on your thing to see if I could do it. So let's see.
Right.
Edit mic settings. No. Whoa.
It looks
Did
like
I
he
just
just bounced
disconnect
out.
him? Oh, did he just disconnect? Oh, no, there he is.
I'm here. I'm just fucking around. Yeah, I'm just messing around.
I like it when you're the
Yeah, hello, hey, blah 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 blah.
you're the circle. Like
Boom, 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 boom.
I don't think it lets me share, but I think I got to do the thing where I can add more team members, so then I can just make you like I can give you like rights as on the site as a team member. So when you come on, you'll have the ability to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I could just do it like that, but guess not. All right, guys. Hey, everybody in the chat. You guys have a great night. Good one, Rusty. This was good stuff. And that was a good segment, Jeremy. I like that. Rusty's Diamonds. That makes a lot of sense. You know, I like it. Yeah, this is good. So I had a good time. Wat2K, good to see you, my friend. Your article's going to go up tomorrow, I believe. So everybody, Wat2K's first article on GreenBean JetsFan will be going up. More than likely tomorrow, but at latest Thursday. But yeah, man, I'm really happy with the article. It's a good one. It's a nice introduction, everything. And Jeremy, man, thank you. I had a good time.
Thanks for coming, man. It's always great to have you. Always
right on.
Right, see you tomorrow night.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
The king came and stopped by and came out of the palace and the castle
with my lit face.
I like
With
that.
the white beard and the black background, you look like you're just a head.
I know. That's what I was going for.
I was gonna say, it looks like he's trying to be the big boss man, but
Serving hard times.
Good night, GreenBean. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Good night, guys. See ya.
See you tomorrow. Well, that was nice. Do you want to watch the rest of the highlights from McCreary?
Yeah, it's like another minute. It's only like a 3:30 video. So sure,
That
let's see the rest of Mr. McCreary.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Yeah, we gave Kyle Phillips 7 minutes. I feel like we should give a cornerback 3.5.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Now it's against LSU. It's
Is that
not like
Devontae Smith?
yeah. Well, it's D. Smith. Who's
I'm
that?
glad they show. Oh, he had the catch and he took it right out of his hand.
Well, that's what you want.
Okay. There he's down on the bottom, crossing over.
He gets his hands in. He's a smart player.
Yeah, I mentioned he had 14 passes defense just this season
And look at that. His timing is perfect.
against Mechie, right? I think
Yeah,
that
he
was
doesn't
Mechie.
get it. He doesn't come in there early. You see, his timing is perfect.
He's looking
Can't
back
teach
for
that.
the ball. Always important.
Yeah. Can't teach that, man. It's instincts.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
Oh, he's smart, man. He was beat, but he read the player that he was. He knew he read when the ball was coming based on Mechie's eyes.
Because he did not turn around. He couldn't see when the ball was coming. So he had to, you're right. You had to read the receiver. You're so right. When the ball was going to come in. You're right.
Can't teach shit like that, man. That's just like, let's watch that again. And the timing of
When he
that,
raises, when he raised his arm, he raised that right arm right there.
if you don't time that right, you get laundry. Look at that. That's against Burks.
I think so. I
That's
like
against
that they're showing these twice, and that really helps with a cornerback. Okay,
Yeah.
not that one, but usually.
But that was against Burks, dude. These are against future NFL wide receivers. He knocked that loose.
He did.
He's great. That's exactly the kind of
Oh,
player.
was that the blitz? Oh, I think it was. Yeah. All right. All right.
Here it comes.
They didn't see that coming.
Oh, so he could tackle.
Yeah, he could. Oh, yeah. He wasn't afraid to take that on.
He's nasty. He could do the nasty.
I like nasty. That's good.
Yeah. He was covered like toast on that one. Look at that. He's on him.
Oh,
On him.
that I liked. That one I liked. Yeah, that in particular stuck out.
That's an Alabama receiver, dude. Nobody in the
Alabama.
league stops those guys. Nobody in the league stops those guys, but McCreary does.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, I get. So let's see. I'm looking at some career stuff. So he's been starting since 2019, 6 career interceptions, 23 pass deflections. He recognizes. You know what I noticed? What he and Phillips have in common? They're smart. They recognize what's going on in front of them, and they make the appropriate move. Like he was able to adjust to the route. They see what the other players are doing, and they adjust what they're going to do to make the play, to get the extra yards or whatever the case may be, or to break the pass up. So that's the two common things I see between Phillips and McCreary.
I like it. I like
Instincts.
it. I like it. Yeah. So Rusty finds smart players. You're right. It's like these are guys that have that instinct. They have that thing that's really hard to coach and teach.
You can't teach instincts. You
Yeah.
can't.
Oh.
I would say McCreary is a 2. Yeah, I think from what I'm seeing, he's expected to go somewhere in the 60s-ish. So, yes, second round, third. If he gets us in the third round, that'd be pretty surprising.
He's one of those guys that I wouldn't expect us to take him unless we trade down on one of the picks and pick up, like the extra pick or something and have those extra picks in the middle there. And then you might see us get a guy like that. A lot of people are against it. They think we don't need a cornerback, but I mean, when you watch that, you don't want that guy on your team. I mean,
you see, you said the key words, and this is what I come back to over and over again. Do we need a cornerback? No. Would we want that on our team? Absolutely. But I don't think cornerback is what they're going to prioritize on this defense. I don't expect us to be taking a cornerback in the first 3 rounds. So, yeah, very intriguing prospect. I just don't think that now is the right time to grab this particular player, much as I like him.
And it's just shame because what I like about him a lot is he's that kind of guy that, like, he reminds me of like an Indianapolis Colt defender. Like he's the kind of guy that's gonna knock the ball loose a lot, cause fumbles, or like that's the way they play. They go for the ball. They get the ball, and whether it's knocking down passes after they catch it and getting it out of there, or whether it's they catch it and then they cause the fumble, but they know how to create turnovers. So it's it's kind of like a bummer that you're right. This is not the year, but we don't know that for sure, right? We know nothing for sure because Joe Douglas is a value player, and if Joe Douglas is in love with him, he'll take him.
Yeah, I think it's a situation he'd have to fall. I can't imagine a scenario where we go cornerback in the first 2 rounds, despite every major network's mock draft, which speaks to the contrary. So you have to use some of those late picks somewhere. We're not going to be able to fix everything in the first round and the second round. So you have to look for some places where you can draft in the middle round, some positions where, okay, I might get some depth here. Maybe cornerback is one of them. And if McCreary falls a little bit, well, then you could talk about it. Maybe if 69, maybe if you really value him that high, but I wouldn't go before the third round.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
Yep. Well, that's going to about wrap it up. I want so let's first thank everybody in the chat, man. There were people here that so long. Iowa Jets fan, Gitmo Bob, all the way from New Zealand. He was here forever. Beth Waite, Jay Cole, my buddy. Well, I'm going to his
his fictitious wedding.
Rusty Spooner, Burnt Dice. Man, I don't want to leave people out. Jared Helmuth, who joined us. Mess, of course. Mess is always here supporting me. I love him. And I don't want to forget people, man. It's hard to go back all the way. Ant Jets 82, we love it when he's here. Let's see, look at some of the earlier guys. Gitmo Bob was I may have said him, but I always got to say Gitmo Bob twice. Rusty added content to the show, so I give him a double thank you. Love all you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Made it a great night, man. This was a great show. I really enjoyed it, and the chat is what makes it, man. They were active. Salty Nuts, thanks for coming, man. I almost forgot to thank Salty Nuts. And, of course, the Postman, Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. I'll be on his show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. We'll be talking playoffs. And Payo Time, my good friend Payo Time, the LA Rams content provider, the only LA Rams content provider on YouTube, at least in my mind. And, of course, Adam, thank you so much for joining me. You made the show. You're an amazing guest.
My pleasure. You have a great time. Yeah, Let's do it again.
We'll definitely do it again. You're always welcome if I'm on, even with another guest. If you want to add things, I love the way you could add stats and information. You can always just let me know, and I'll send you the link, and we'll pull you in anytime you want to come in. So you're always welcome.
I appreciate that. Yep, we'll definitely do that for sure.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night, and enjoy this. Oh yeah! Go! Amazing! That's my boy! He
breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch! How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown!
This is a touchdown all the way!
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati.